Hey everybody, I'm TJ Majors, part of the 6 Cup car, the 8 Xfinity car, and this is going to be one that probably needs to be deleted.
This is the finale, man. This is championship week. This is the last week of the 2023 season. Freddie, thank goodness for you, as I know you cannot wait to go spot more races that are outside of NASCAR. Brett Griffin spotted this year a whole whopping 5 races for Colleague Racing.
You're tired.
I am tired. It's because I've been in a hotel all week.
What's up, Freddie Kraft, spotter Bubba Wallace, Chandler Smith. Yeah. Are you coming to Phoenix?
Yes.
Oh, so you're just not spotting.
No.
Because you were going to spot, but now
They
you're
got good
not.
food and good stuff to do out there.
They do.
They got the Rusty Spur.
Casey, how was your week this week?
Hey guys, Casey Vote here, and I hear we have a really, really cool guest. I'm just going to skip over anything you just said, Freddie.
No, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you might as well get it out now.
Let's-
Casey got in 14 car accidents on the way to Martinsville this week somehow.
Did not.
And
Is that why her car looks like that?
Yeah.
It looks like she raced Martinsville.
It was not my fault, and
She
I'm happy
blew
to
Freddie's
give a
motor.
description.
Whoa. Oh.
Well,
Here we go. Should we intro our guest before
This show typically gets the most downloads of the year, believe it or not. Last year you beat her. 2 years ago you beat Blake Shelton when he came on,
my
which is
God.
quite an ordeal. This guy's a contributor for The Athletic. He's a contributor and I guess owner, realistically, of the Teardown. He kind of is the founder of the NASCAR Tweet Up, social media darling, and currently pole
social
losing
media darling.
Jeff Gluck.
Well, first of all, I only beat Blake Shelton because I picked the most talked about race typically to come in. So it's like I pre-planned it. But I didn't know that you guys were all going to be here today. I thought, you might be passed out somewhere not answering your phone, or you might have some business to do.
I expected both of those
somewhere
actually as
else.
well. I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be me and you probably
Like when you
hosting
guys
the
walked
show.
in the door, I was like, wow. They actually all
They
came.
really
We
showed
would-
up.
So I
we
feel
would-
very honored.
We would never miss you.
And
no
Casey
matter
was on
what.
time, too, so that was kind of weird.
I was on time, as
Yeah.
usual.
So
Casey, let's talk about it now. You got hit by a deer.
Yes.
Then so your car was wrecked. So
Okay,
the next
so
day,
I would like to preface that most of this is not my fault. It just happens to be me.
of course.
Started out the day, my coworker runs into my golf cart. Then go to
Who's that?
an
Who's your coworker?
appearance. Then I go into it, and it was obviously completely unintentional.
For sure.
But no damage. We were good. Then I go home from an event, and I happen to find a deer running from the middle lane into my car, and so I swerved. What are you doing? And
I
so
just want Freddie to be able to see you.
Yeah, I want to.
I swerved.
Did you say you found a deer in the middle of the road?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what
Bambi.
deer goes in the middle of the median?
All of them.
The one you hit.
So I am
I don't
driving
think they
back
follow
to
traffic
Greensboro. I
laws.
know. I'm driving back to Greensboro, and a deer literally was about to run into the front of my car. So I swerved, and it hits the side of my car.
Oh. So you wounded it.
Wait, a second deer?
Same
no,
deer.
just the same deer.
Oh.
We're not friends anymore. So I feel really horrible for the deer, but yes, my car is pretty damaged. So if anybody
Pretty
has,
damaged my ass. That's going to be like $18,000 in damage.
Hey, that's not, listen,
Hey, we're not done yet, by the way.
it's not Lamborghini Denny damage or whatever it is.
So yes, so if anybody knows of any,
How's the deer?
I don't know. I'm scared. I feel
You're
really
scared
bad
of
for
the deer. You think he's gonna come back and get you?
I just like
Deer needs retribution.
I have
Word gets around.
I will forever have that image in my head of the deer looking at me as I'm trying to swerve out of the way, and then it hits my driver's side.
Yeah.
But yes, I spent 30 minutes trying to get
Great.
deer off of the side of my car. Then
How do you try to get deer off the side of your car?
this
I
is still
pulled
not
into
done.
a gas station, and I had to use the
What are you getting
Wiper.
off the car?
I don't know. I don't want to know. But I feel really bad for the deer.
Blood and fur.
Yeah, I
and
was
then,
going to say.
okay, but,
So
but
you're getting remnants of the deer off
Yes.
your car, not the deer off
it
your
could
car.
be
Oh,
mud. I'm
man.
just hoping it's mud from the deer's feet. I
Mud.
don't know.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Have you ever gone back and listened to yourself tell stories?
Yes, I'm trying not to because I don't want to. I didn't want to tell the story.
You ever going to look for that little baby that's looking
I'll
for its
shorten it
mother?
up for you. I'll shorten it up. So she gets hit by a deer. Golf cart gets run into. The next day, she's on the way to the racetrack. They get rear-ended in somebody else's car in front of the racetrack. Then we're riding the elevator up together, and Chad calls and says their air conditioning broke. And then my motor blew up. So anything that had to do with Casey on Saturday was just get the away from
Technically
Casey.
Friday. And
So she was at
Friday
the
and
race, too, because
Saturday.
that race pretty much blew up.
Yeah, the Xfinity race.
Apparently
yeah,
it was a
that
good race.
Me.
Just ask Jeff.
That was me.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you say that your motor blew up, I just think that
Just I'm puking
something
on
else.
something.
So when you say that on the elevator,
We've already had
that
3.
was-
I
Just-
said
just give it
she
a few
blew
more
Freddie's
days.
motor up, and that turned bad.
But okay, I need to start this argument because
Argument.
Uh-oh.
I swerved. If the deer hit you in the front, wouldn't it be way worse than if I had
I think it's the same
Swerve?
outcome.
no?
For who? You or the deer?
Yeah.
Like I feel like my airbags would have blown. Like the
Your airbags
glass
probably
would have
wouldn't
been
have blown.
damaged. I
What,
mean,
what
my
about
car,
the brake pedal? Do we think about that at any point?
I could not brake. There were cars around me.
Brad, I don't think most people thought about that on Saturday in general.
True that.
Yeah.
So Chad was mad and said that I still hit the deer.
Well, I side
but
with
I
Chad.
think I saved my life. So
I side with
there we
Chad.
go.
I also side with
Anyways,
Chad.
you always do. Well, we
Have a moment of prayer for Chad.
officially have our championship 4 with Ryan Blaney and William Byron claiming those last 2 spots. I mean, Jeff, it looks like your poll, everybody loved the race. So I don't know what you guys thought
What
of it.
race were they watching?
Let's talk about the poll for a minute, Jeff. At what point did you decide, man, I'm going to put a poll out here?
It was after one of the aero package changes, 2016. When I think it was like the low downforce package they were trying after Atlanta, before Atlanta is what it is now.
So we're 7 years into this poll. And to start with, there was some pushback from NASCAR executives that you were even doing this. And the fact that fans said it were a bad race, it was upsetting NASCAR executives. Do you remember those days?
I mean, not just NASCAR executives. There's been many people in the industry over the years that have said, like, hey, well, why do you do this, man? Like, we don't need to be putting it into a category like this. Like, can't people just enjoy the racing? And my argument, my counter to it, I guess, is that, look, if NASCAR is going to make lots of changes to make the product better, and like, hey, we're changing this package to make the product more entertaining or more racy, or we're changing this format to do this, well, then isn't it not fair to ask if people are entertained by the changes that they made? That's my point in all of it. Although now I've just been doing it long enough, it's almost like habit,
So your poll got so famous that it got hacked.
I think so. People don't believe me when I say that. Last year, for the the first Atlanta weird race,
Super Speedway race? Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. Because I always watch it because I know that it's possible to buy votes. So I'm always just making sure that there's no, because usually, honestly, like if you watch it after the first 300 votes, it doesn't really.
It doesn't change.
It's like within 2-3%.
Wow. Sample size doesn't move it.
Not really. I mean, it might move, like I said, a few percent. But this one Atlanta, I mean, it jumped like 15% in like 10 minutes or something after thousands of votes had already been in. And I was like, somebody doesn't like the new Atlanta or whatever, and they're trying to mess with it, mess with the poll.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I think that was just a one-time thing, hopefully.
So some of those people there that got upset, you were doing this poll and we were getting the answer no. Then when you started getting the answers yes, they started getting exciting, those same people.
I mean, tracks have put out press releases on the poll. I mean, yeah. But it's something like, hey, if especially if compared to other tracks, if they're like, hey, we got the best rating of this year. Like, we have the best race this year. Is that not something to like sell to your fans?
If you think about it, your tweet or your poll is essentially one of the only ways fans can really provide their feedback on the race, other than mean tweets, right?
Well, they get that bullshit fan council. that
Well,
they
yeah.
say.
Do you vote on your own poll?
I don't think you can. I don't even think you can.
I don't know if you can. Yeah.
No?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think you can, because it when I look at it,
It's just
I
results.
just see the results.
How
already.
often do you check it once you put it up?
Especially in the first few hours, pretty often, just because I'm worried about any funny business or something, and I want to have, because if I need to, if it goes crazy, then I need to be like, no, listen, guys, this was kind of like the real result before. I want to have that number just in case.
What's the best and worst races?
I think the best all time was Bristol Spring, the year before they went to Bristol Dirt. Maybe it was the 2020 race.
Yeah.
That sound right?
Yeah, we did 3 years dirt, right?
Was that?
Is that the race you got run over?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty sure that's the race that Brad won.
Chase doored you.
Chase wrecked Joey,
Yeah.
for
right,
sure.
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
happy about
And what's
that
the worst
now?
race?
The worst.
It was
gosh,
recent. Was it this
Oddly,
year?
yes.
I
Was
thought
it
was
was
this
it
year.
one of the Martinsville ones?
I thought
Martinsville last year
maybe.
or something?
Yeah, it
It
was
was like,
really bad.
'Cause
18%.
I think one of the last Indy races too was really, really, really bad.
Have you noticed a trend like between short tracks, super
Oh yeah,
speedways?
because there's actually some people, because I'm not very good at math stuff, but there's some people like data analysts or something. There's a few of them, and they'll go through the poll and they'll like make little charts and send them to me and be like, hey, sometimes I'll retweet them. Be like, here's what the short tracks did this year. The average is down the short tracks, but look at the intermediates, average is up. Now, but I don't want to make it out like it's scientific too, because it's just still a Twitter poll. So,
Which,
I mean,
this week in general is a perfect example because that race was terrible, and it's trending at what, like 80%?
It's still 80-20.
10,000 votes, 80%, but there's more to this than what meets the eye.
Like if Logano wins that race, it's probably not.
Why?
here.
What's your?
Jeff Gluck apparently made a deal with Jordan Bianchi that Jordan would get to influence what Jeff wears at the Daytona 500.
that's true.
Do you
I mean,
think people voted?
I was going to be able to.
Have you seen
influence
how
him,
Jordan
too.
dresses?
I was going to dress him as I do in like all Target apparel.
I don't even know.
Like
That would be so funny.
But
Either way,
I lost.
It's
I
gonna
lost.
be. Oh, you
Yeah.
lost, so it's over.
I mean, it looks like I'm going to lose unless somebody buys
I mean, so
votes,
buy
so.
some.
So what do we think you end up wearing at Daytona? Because he's going to put a poll out there and people are going to pick what you wear.
Yeah, it's going to be some plaid suit. He's going to try to make me unbutton my buttons all the way down, like almost to my belly button, which I'm not going to do.
I see
don't-
some.
And the shoes,
I see
you
some
can't
bright.
forget the
I see some
shoes.
bright colors in your future.
Oh, it's going to be terrible.
He's like, Jeff legitimately sounds bitter about this whole.
I'm very upset because I thought I was going to win, and last time I was in Target, I was kind of looking around and be like, "Oh, this would be great. Make Jordan wear this. This would be hilarious."
What is the most annoying thing about Jordan Bianchi for you?
I don't have a brother, but I feel like he must be what having a brother's like where half the time you love him, half the time he just annoys the absolute shit out of you. Like just presses your button, trolls you.
I got a brother and I got a friend like that. Just believe it.
You have a friend like that? Yeah. I wonder who that is. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. I mean, I think sometimes he's doing it on purpose, then sometimes he's just like legitimately not doing it on purpose, and it still annoys me.
I think
and that's
he's
when
just
it's more annoying.
This is coming from me. I think he's just an asshole. He doesn't like Christmas. He doesn't like kids.
Doesn't like children. Yeah.
I was giving him yesterday. I stopped by their tweet up, and I was giving Jordan said, why is it you break news, you break driver news, then people get, they get upset and they're mad. Jordan shouldn't be doing this. Austin Hill does it, and everybody thinks it's great. Austin Hill starts breaking news and interviews after the race, and everybody thinks, oh, that's good.
Spoiler alert, I don't think they thought anything about that was great. But
So, man, it's
later.
kind of cool that it seems like the short tracks get the bigger tweet ups.
Well, what happens is, Bob and I have talked about this over the years, because like if we go to Sonoma, the percentage of people at Sonoma who like are hardcore enough about NASCAR to follow a NASCAR writer on Twitter and be like, oh, I'm going to follow you and I want to meet you and here's what time I'm going to, it's just not. But when you go to like Talladega, that's, that gets a big crowd. And then like, I think the biggest one, you guys, the North Wilkesboro one, that was the
Huge.
biggest probably one we've ever had.
Yeah.
But that is like, you would think that is the highest percentage you're ever going to get of like the true hardcore NASCAR fans, not the casuals. Because the only people that were at that race were people who truly cared about NASCAR, and I think Martinsville would be the same way. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to pull too many randoms for Martinsville,
Which you can say what you want about the short track package. There was an amazing crowd yesterday.
Oh,
like
it
it
was
was
sold
it was
out.
full. I mean, and it was like I looked around. I'm like, well, damn, this is full. I mean, there's obviously a few empty seats, but it was
There was traffic early,
yeah.
and that you can always judge by like whenever you're going to the track. Like if you're getting there early and you're already sitting in traffic, you know it's going to be a pretty full race. And I felt like that yesterday.
Justin Haley, he met us out last night. He was 2 hours behind me. He got I don't know what he was doing but he got trapped and he was 2 hours behind me getting home. So I mean, there was plenty of people there.
Yeah. Yep.
And for everybody who complains about them holding the parking lots, it is because there's so many drunk people walking around. Like, I cannot tell you how many calls from Sirius last night I was listening to were complaining about parking. But, like, if you watch the track, like, you watch traffic, people are so drunk that they're, like, running into cars. So I would think that's why.
I was talking to, actually, because we were stuck in traffic for like 45 minutes, just barely moving out of the parking lot. And I asked, like, why do you put the hour hold on traffic? Is because I guess last year they didn't, and there were people who were just trying to hightail it out of there. And, you have all these people exiting the grandstands, and there are just people driving too aggressive and must have clipped a few people. So now they hold it, let people get to their cars.
They held it last year after the Cup
Yeah.
race.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It must have been
Might
a few
been
years ago.
It was a
That's
few
what the
years ago.
security guard told me.
Bristol does that too. I mean, they do that for
Yeah.
you know.
If
And
it's a small track. I mean,
yeah,
I rolled right out. Piece of cake.
I had to.
That's because we're veterans. These rookies, they don't know where to park. So, Jeff, you are an innovative guy in my mind and from a journalistic standpoint. Obviously, you started the tweet up. You started 12 Questions. You started jeffgluck.com back in the day. You're doing the podcast. What are you working on now that we may or may not be privy to? What's the next big thing that you're going to do?
I don't really have anything. I think that probably the next thing that I should have. I actually think I'm behind on this is probably like video. I think you see all the young kids doing video now, and half the media scrums, it's there might be like 15 reporters in the media scrum, and 14 are holding up their cell phones, just recording it. And Bob does it, Dustin does it, Matt Weaver, people like that. I've been resistant to it because I just feel like I guess I'm kind of old school where I'm asking somebody a question. I want to look them in the eye. I want to feel like we're having a conversation because I feel like for an interview, if somebody's going to give you a genuine answer, they don't need to be like looking into your phone. But at the same time, like you watch, I mean, you see how much people on X or wherever, Instagram, react to the clips of the interviews that drivers are doing, and I don't have any. I have them recorded for writing an article, but I'm behind on that kind of stuff, and I'm behind on, like Eric Estep on YouTube, like has well over 100,000 subscribers, and he's built that all himself, and like you can make a living off that kind of thing. So I don't really have much of a video presence, and I feel like that's one thing I've fallen behind on, where I feel like I was kind of doing a good job of staying ahead on like social media, Twitter, when that was coming along. And I think all the journalists now, you have to be multi-dimensional. You have to be able to do a podcast, and you have to be able to do video and edit your own video and edit your own podcast and write. And when we were coming along, it was just like, yeah, you're a newspaper writer. That's it. So but I also don't really think I have like a face for video. Sorry if you're watching this on Dirt Vision, but so I don't know if I want to do that. But
Dude, we all three got
I can
faces
see
for
you.
radio.
I can see you being a TikTok star. Like
A TikTok star?
That's
Your
right
Target
up,
apparel?
That's right up your alley.
I could like do dancing and
You could
recap
dance
or
while you
something.
interview people.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, man. 2023 is winding down. We would normally do this at the end of the next show, but we can for you today. Biggest surprise this year on the NASCAR side.
Well, I mean, it's kind of cheap to say this but like the Chase Elliott the whole storyline has got to be the biggest surprise, because who would have thought that he'd miss the playoffs? Because even like you could say, okay, well, that's because of the injury, but even when he came back, I was probably 90% sure, well, he's going to win a race. Like, it's not even a question. Sure, he's going to win a race at some point.
I think we all thought he was going to.
Yeah.
I think we all did.
So that's the biggest surprise, just because, didn't he lead the series in wins last year? He had 5 wins last year.
Do you notice a difference in the overall, vibe when it comes to all the playoff drivers and Chase not being there? Because I don't know if you know this, but like I feel like Chase has been non-existent from a media standpoint in the last few weeks, ever since the playoffs started, which is so different than previous years.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'd love to talk to him every week and stuff, but the way it works, at least from a media standpoint, is if you're not in the playoffs, you're not really required to do a lot of the obligations. So we lose that. Once Kevin Harvick's out, he came in for a few retirement type stuff, but like for the Forever 400 at Homestead, like we had a Rodney Childress press conference, but we never talked to Harvick the whole weekend. Kyle Busch, we haven't talked to him in a few weeks now. It's just like, man, you kind of miss that, hearing from those guys. And I from a media standpoint, you hate to not have Denny in the Final Four, because he's going to say something at media day or whatever. And I think all the guys are obviously very deserving who were there, but who's going to give a soundbite out of those to get people talking? There's no Tony Stewart kind of thing going on.
Wreck your mom.
Yeah, exactly. Which was my mom, by the way.
Was he?
That's my question. I said, "What would you do to win a championship or whatever?" And he's like, "I'd wreck I would wreck your mom to win the championship." So I texted my mom right after that happened back in the day.
Watch
like,
out,
"Hey, Mom,
if Tony's behind you."
yeah."
News last week. Casey, you want to tell us where Jesse Love's going to race next year? By any
Yeah.
chance?
I guess my comment overall is storylines.
Oh, congratulations, by the way, Casey.
Thank
Wait a
you.
minute. Just hold up. So Casey
we
comes
go.
in here last week, Jeff.
Okay.
And her chest is bowed out.
No,
and
it's
she's
not.
got this bright smile on her face.
Was
and
not.
she is gloating. Is she gloating?
Well, it sounded gloatish.
It sounded very gloatish. And
It
she
was,
makes
did
this
you
comment.
hear the news?
She makes this comment.
No, you said there. Oh, there's more. You said you didn't say. Did you hear the news?
She thinks she is the only person with a NASCAR hard card that knows Jesse Love is going to the 2
That
Xfinity
is
car
a
with
lie.
RCR. That is the way that she portrayed the
That is
comment.
a lie.
Freddie,
Yeah, that's accurate.
TJ,
She might leave in a minute. I'm just going to say.
how bold and how boastful was her comment that we didn't know where Jesse Love was going, but she did?
I don't recall that whatsoever. You just exaggerate a
TJ.
little bit.
There was
But-
a little bit.
I can't wait till I ask Casey what she thinks. TJ,
There,
what did you
there
think?
was a little bit, but it wasn't like overbearing. But there was definitely.
So
a
when
little
we
bit.
found out that she thought she exclusively knew where Jesse Love was going, we started making fun of her, and she got mad. So then she starts texting Jesse Love, and Jesse Love tells her, "Oh my gosh, please don't let the DBC guys break my news." So she's over here mad in the corner. We can't even see her, right? She's over here pouting. I mean, I'm telling you, when I say pouting, she's got her phone down, her head's down.
pretty much like she looks right now.
I wish you could see. I was gonna say, I wish you could see her face right now.
So,
Like-
so we start dropping these hints, and they obviously weren't obvious, but it's just wearing her out. And she keeps telling Andrew, "Oh, you got to cut this out.
That is
You
a
got to
lie.
cut this out."
That's a lie.
That's actually true.
Well, you literally said his name, so yes.
We said love. Love.
We
Who
said
lo-
love in no
we
context
love-
of a
we
human
love.
being's name.
Who doesn't love?
Who doesn't love love?
I was just looking out for a friend. I'm so sorry.
Jesse Love.
So she went from
honestly
coming in-
didn't pick up on it when I saw. Did you tweet about it afterwards? You say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we dropped some vague hints." I was like, "Oh, they did."
You didn't hear like too soon. We were saying like
We
that.
said the number
and
two
the number
100
of people
times.
asking if I was pregnant with
First of
number
all, I
2.
listened to you guys on like 2 times speed most of the
That
time.
must be
so-
exciting.
That's
You should listen on half speed. That's what we normally sound like.
but so next time Jordan needs breaking news, he just needs to reach out to Casey because she apparently has the ends on all the stuff.
I'll let him know. I'll let him know.
She's gonna throw one of them
I
die-cast cars
can't-
over here in
I
a
can't
second.
see her, so I'm good.
And you think I can't tell a story? You just exaggerate on like everything.
No.
Yeah, it's a
okay.
dangerous game to
Anyways.
like roast somebody with your back.
I can't
So-
see. I mean, she
Yeah.
might be able to.
I'm just
Yeah.
glad Freddie has a haircut.
She
could-
It was-
she could
it was
pull a
rough for
gun.
a while.
She
but
can
I
knife
guess,
you. You'd
I
never
guess
even see it.
on that note, there's been quite a few like breaking news, so to speak, between
What you got, Casey?
Eric Almirola retiring.
Casey, where's Eric going to run next year?
Obviously, we know where Sheldon Creed's going. Thanks, Austin Hill. What do you think? Like, I think the 10's maybe the only open, like
I don't
major
think it's open.
It's not
spot.
really
I
open.
mean,
It's not really open.
What do you think of the news leading into the offseason and anything we can expect moving forward?
Man, are there any things that are really like still unanswered?
Not
I mean,
really.
it doesn't seem like even in the past, it would feel like I think before the charters, especially, like you'd have like a front row. You go in with a couple open seats and be like, oh, we got to decide in December what these guys are doing. Like, is McDowell coming back or whatever? It seems like everybody's kind of like locking things down earlier and earlier. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
it just feels like people have to know what they're doing. And because if you don't and you're leaving somebody scrambling, what do you? I mean, you don't have a lot of options because everybody's committing to stuff. So
Yeah,
This
I
year
mean-
was Justin Haley was super early.
Yeah.
That was like
It seems like that. Like, so the 10, all signs point to Noah over there.
Yeah.
And then Colleague is really the only one.
I was
like,
gonna say Colleague's the only one that nobody
I
really.
mean, you kind of got an idea of what's going on over there, but I mean, I don't know that it's locked in. Brett might know more about it than I do, but
There's still a couple trucks. Trucks
yeah,
are still up in
yeah,
the air a little
trucks.
bit.
Like I wonder who's going to get in the 38 truck. That might
Yeah,
be
that's
interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it seems like everything's kind of Spotter world is it's still
yeah, you guys keep
Moving
teasing
and
that. When are you
shaking.
going to tell us? What's going
I mean, it's
on?
kind of settled. It's pretty much figured out now.
I
most
ruined
of
some
it.
poor fan's day yesterday.
Oh, what
he
happened?
came up to me. He's like, "My guy's not leaving, is he?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, he
There
is."
may be a Toyota team that needs a new spotter. If I don't know what happened yesterday, but apparently our good friend Joel got upset.
Oh, he did. I think he got mad at Nick.
I think yeah, Nick may want to.
Oh, I saw that battle.
You know those things that you go down to like look at sharks in those cages you get in. That might be what Nick wants on the roof at
So
Homestead.
Nick, you're referring
Nick's
to
just
Tyler
got-
Reddick's
Nick-
spotter,
I mean,
right?
Yes, Nick's
Okay.
just got to survive one more week. Then Joel's,
Tyler was
Joel's
holding.
retiring.
Tyler was holding up Eric really bad. Like,
But I mean,
hey,
nobody
dude,
could pass all day yesterday. We couldn't get around to 78 at one point. Like,
If
it's just
the
like,
caution comes out and you have a good pit stop and you get a good restart. It is a huge point.
why
swing.
pit? I mean,
I'm-
nothing mattered yesterday.
I'm gonna race. You got to race as hard as you can. I don't blame him, but I can see why you would also be frustrated too, because you got a guy running you down, which he was catching you so fast it probably wasn't gonna matter.
Speaking of the
but
good race
still.
poll, did you see Joel's poll?
No,
What,
what's his
was
poll?
his pants unzipped? No.
Joel's poll was is
about Harrison
Is
Burton?
Harrison Burton a hack? Yes or no?
Yeah, I saw that. I voted
Did
no.
you,
on
did
that
you
one,
vote?
by the way.
You voted no?
I voted no. But I think I was the first vote, so I didn't see what other people did.
It's 100% no. When you did.
Yeah.
If my phone would work, I would go look at it, but I don't know what it is.
Did you
Yeah.
buy votes?
Yeah, by votes on
Harrison's
that
buying
one.
votes on that one. Are you looking it up? Yeah, Nick texted me on the way home and said, "I think Joel wants to kill me." And I said, "What'd you do?" And he said,
What'd you do?
we held him up." And then I got to Big Al's and Joel texted me, "Did you ride home with Nick?" I said, "I did not." I said, "What do you do?" And then he went off on a tangent for a little while. But
First
So,
of all, it's not Nick.
Is there
No.
a bigger hack than Harrison Burton? Is the poll?
you
And
voted no.
47% voted yes, and 53% voted no.
So you
I'm
voted
on the right side of things.
But you said so. You're voting that there is not a bigger hack than Harrison Burton.
Oh,
not
no,
what
no,
the-
that's not what I meant.
Is that what the question was? Did it say?
what did Harrison do?
Yeah, tell us why.
Oh, no, I voted yes. I voted yes. No, no,
Why?
no. that's-
Why are we saying that Harrison
Oh,
Burton
crap.
is a hack?
Harrison, would you like to do the 12 questions with Jeff Gluck this week? No, that guy.
Actually,
I
just
really
one
did vote
question.
yes.
I think that
I'm
Harrison.
going to prove it to you right now because I feel bad. I feel really bad.
I think that Harrison and
Oh boy.
Damn it.
and Harrison and Reddick were side by
The
side.
question is there a bigger hack than Harrison Burton?
I promise I voted yes.
no.
I voted yes.
Oh, they were. I
Yeah,
saw
sure you did.
Harrison
I promise.
ran.
If I had cell service, I would show you.
Right, sure. My phone's
Harrison
working
did.
fine.
Harrison drove Reddick over the curb off a 4 one time, like all the way over, like he wasn't even there. I was like, oh, that's gonna work out well.
I'm going to, at some point,
Right,
I will
Jeff.
have a screenshot of this.
I'll bet you're not.
You
I'll
have,
send it to
you
you.
have to tweet
It
it.
doesn't look
Look,
like
it's just giving me like the circular thing.
Of
I can't
death.
prove it.
Yeah.
it's a sign. It's
We had to trade AC
Hey,
for
Funny, I
Wi-Fi.
can pull this poll up just fine, Jeff.
Hey, Casey, can you walk outside so our phones work for a second?
Take all our phones outside.
Oh,
Oh boy.
So why I don't understand why I get so mad at the guy spotting, because he's not the one making that decision. The driver is.
Yeah, like I mean, what are you gonna do at that point? Like, you can't just move over. Like, I
Yeah.
What if you guys got one chance per race to radio to an opposing driver and yell at them?
get the
like a challenge flag. Like,
So-
what the hell are you doing? Dude?
I wouldn't use.
Obviously,
it for
you can do that in ARCA. So
Yes.
Bristol.
I've always wanted that one time a year to do it to the tower.
Oh.
That probably would
Yeah,
not
because
work
that'd be
out
the
well.
last time you did it that
So,
year.
so
No,
funny,
we get a free pass. We can say whatever we want.
No,
funny-
you're done after your
funny
pass,
story about the Bristol ARCA race.
Yeah, did you know this?
Our buddy Jesse Love was out there in practice, and I guess he screwed up somebody's mock run or
Pulled
something.
out to
right?
make a 2-lap qualifying run.
Yeah, pulled like something happened. Yeah, something happened. He screwed up another Venerini car's mock run, and all the Venerini spotters. When I spotted there, I had all the frequencies on my radio. Well, the spotter of the other car got on changed channels and started yelling at Jesse about screwing
Really?
up their
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. And then the crew
intense.
chief got mad
Yeah,
at
it
the
was-
end. And then the crew chief ended up getting him at the end because, was it really, did it really hold you up? What was it?
I don't
6,
know.
8 tenths or something like that?
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it? Did it really
Jesse
hold?
was way off. Jesse
Yeah.
was way faster. They said, "Did it really cost you 8 tenths or something like that?" Oh boy!
Experience the thrill of the racetrack like you're in the driver's seat with DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet on your favorite racers and feel the rush of every pass, pit stop, and victory like never before.
Right now, new customers can turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Bet 5 on anything to score big, no matter what goes down on the track. All right, Kyle Larson, who's going to beat him this week? Anybody?
It's gonna be hard.
Can Bell do
It's
it?
gonna be hard. Bell's got a shot. It's gonna be interesting. I think Larson's got to be your favorite though. Just the raw speed they've had and being the talented race car driver that he is.
Yeah, Bell and Larson being the first two to lock in. Going to have a little extra time to prep for the race. But who knows, man? It's Phoenix. Anything can happen.
If I'm Rick Hendrick, I feel good about my chances.
With props, parlays, and more, there will be action to follow all race long.
The racing action doesn't stop till the checker flag drops. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and join with code CLEAR. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets.
That's code CLEAR, only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Let's chat
Oh.
Martinsville Xfinity Series race because I feel
Let's
like
do.
there's a lot here. So we know, Sammy Smith.
Oh, Sammy
just-
Swift.
Sammy Smith dominates, but then obviously falls
Sup,
short.
Sammy Swift?
Y'all really-
Blooper show. Let's get a blooper show.
I'm just gonna stop talking. Andrew, do you want to take over? It's been a long weekend.
Hey, so if you guys heard, Sammy Smith, he dominated but fell short. John Hunter Nemechek blocks him, and Sammy Smith said after the race, he didn't want to make any enemies, but he made one.
So,
And then Front Stretch said, Front Stretch got a quote from him that said, John Hunter Nemechek is definitely not a teammate next Saturday.
Now, my question, make sure you ask them this.
Let me know
no,
you want me
feel
to
free to
ask
ask them. Do you think that you'll see any retaliation next weekend with John Hunter going for the championship?
No. I don't think there'll be any retaliation there. I think that hauler won't make it to the track if they feel like there's going to be. So
Sammy Smith would be a fool to retaliate against John Hunter.
Yeah.
You can say you're not
do you
going
know
to be
why?
a teammate.
Do you know why he's not going to retaliate? 'Cause
Why?
He said he's going to retaliate.
I mean, listen, he can race him a little harder if he wants to. I mean, that's part of.
if
part
that's
of the
considered
game.
retaliation, then yeah. If he's going to race him hard, probably, sure. He's going to make him earn positions, probably. But that's
Well, he's
the
not going to
chance.
move over for him. He's not
Exactly.
going to.
But let's back up because the four of us started a text thread, which ended up being rather enjoying on Saturday evening. There
Thanks-
is a
thanks to you.
video out
Yeah.
there, pictures out there of the 18 and the 20, way out of line, way before start finish, on the green white checker, and NASCAR does nothing.
Oh, I mean, we talked about this last week that you're going to see pictures of I don't know. Like they obviously blamed it on laying back at Homestead, according to TJ, and John Hunter was laid back a little bit. But at the same time, when I was talking to Hirschman about this, who sponsored John Hunter's like way good on points. He just has to finish. So why would you be up the guy's ass on a restart? Are you going to get penalty now for trying to play it safe? Like, it's just such a can of worms you opened up. But by far, he was well out. The screenshot I sent you, he has broke the plane of the 21's bumper, and he lifted, I assume, to get back in line. He was way behind him into one. But
The rule is not you have to give it back.
He
though.
broke the plane of the 21's bumper, and the start finish line isn't even in the picture. Like it's well before the start finish line. But, like even before that though. There's a lot of talk about teammates yesterday. The only person I saw being a quote unquote bad teammate in this whole scenario was John Hunter, because he should have. If you're playing to get two cars in the final four from JGR. He's running third, Sammy's running fourth. John Hunter should have picked the top and given Sammy the bottom and let Sammy handle his own business. But Sammy did win Phoenix last year, so there's probably a reason why John Hunter maybe wanted to prevent him from winning that race. But I don't know. I don't know if you're all in on the team aspect. You should have picked the top and gave the 18 the bottom and let the 18 go race his way into the playoffs.
I think John Hunter is blocking the 18, which is why he's out of line. He's not trying to improve his position. He's trying to make sure the 18 doesn't improve his position because, to your point, 18 won in the spring. Last thing he wants to do is have to race that guy in a championship weekend. But, like, from a rules perspective, Jeff, how do you have all of this proof of the rules being broken and you do nothing?
I don't know. I think that
That's my answer, Jeff. You can't use that one.
I think because if I had seen that in the moment, I think I would be more mad about it. But I didn't see it until the screenshot, right? And then I go back and I go, oh, damn, look at that! Like, how could you miss that, right? But I mean, I was up in turn one, looking down the front stretch. I saw somebody go 3 wide, but I didn't even think, oh, he's before the start finish line. I mean, obviously that's their job.
That's
They're
not
watching
your
for
job.
it.
That's their job.
But I think there's probably a lot happening. I'm sure it's a missed call. You want to get it right, but I think sometimes like that, like if it's not, especially if it's further back in the pack or further back in the field, I don't know if they're watching for that. I think
They got Eckes for it last week, and he wasn't.
Well, he was second row or third row.
Yeah, but
Here's my point, though. All right, if you call it out, the 20 and the 18, they were both in violation of a rule, clearly. This is no gray area. Black and white, they're in violation of a rule. You black flag them. Well, they're not going to pit. because there's only 2 laps, and you're still being scored for those 2 laps, and that is going to happen in 28 seconds from the time you went green right there, right? It's going to happen really fast, whatever time that is. So now you're going to have to disqualify both cars.
You put him as the last car in the lead lap.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Disqualify them from, their
Yeah.
finishing position to the lead. So when you get to Phoenix, which is a very, very, very easy place for this to happen.
Right.
Now what are you going to do with a green-white checker in the Xfinity Series, and this happens?
Yeah, well, I think you go, we're not going to miss it this time, but I don't know. I'd love to sit here and say, hey, look, they're watching every single thing that's consistent, but we know it's, I mean, they miss stuff. I mean, it's just, they miss it. I don't know what you, I mean.
Do away with the rule if you can't police it.
That's fair, but
No,
do you have to have somebody then like doing the video of every single restart and just going? I mean, maybe that is something you have to do. Like this person's job is
Restart official.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they have that and they still. I don't know. I mean, I'm saying TJ's lying too much.
I watched the 20 make the block, and then I watched the 20 lift to completely screw the 18 again. Because now, not only did you not successfully get inside of the 20 if you're the 18, now you can't go because this guy's slowing down. He's holding up the whole line. He completely took the 18 out of the race, but in reality, that both should have been DQ'd anyway or put to the back.
This is set up before that, though. This should all have been handled beforehand. They should have had more of a plan. If you get in this scenario, they know what their running orders are. John Hunter, hey, the 18's trying to win. Let's make sure we don't, if he wins, he wins. If you win, great. You deserve to win the race as well, but let's not take each other out or hurt each other's chances like that. You know what I mean? If he beats you straight up, he beats you. But I don't know why. Like when they chose on the restart, was the 18 choosing from second place or third?
On that restart,
Yeah.
he was fourth. The two
so he
RCR cars were front row, then
Yeah.
the 20, then the 18.
Yeah, I mean, at that point though, I don't know if any of them Xfinity guys that aren't going to block. I don't think they see teammates at all. I think it's race everybody like they're your enemy every single lap. I mean that. Well, I found that out of Homestead.
I was going to say the place you're at certainly does that.
I mean, it comes from the top up, down. Am I there? But
Even Dale's reckon.
that's what I'm saying. But I don't think, there for a while, I thought Sheldon and Austin Hill were actually really good teammates there. They were working together beginning of the year. They were get to the plate races. They were first, second lining up. Even the Atlanta race, you're like, damn, these guys are going to be hard to beat. And that crumbled. I think that crumbled.
Didn't it seem like, though, that Austin Hill always got the best end of the stick?
Always. And the moment that he doesn't is when it all goes down. So,
But is part of that in Xfinity, like the sort of less teamwork that people move so much? Like, if you're going to do that, like, let's say Martin and Denny were going to do something, in years past or this year or whatever. Like, they're tied together. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to deal with your guy. A lot of times in Xfinity, it's been like, well, that guy's leaving this year or next year, or I'm leaving next year. So what do I care?
Yeah.
Like I know we're not going to be. I don't really have to deal with the consequences for this for very long.
both instances that we're talking about, like they're leaving the next year. So I guess that is valid. I mean,
And the Ty Gibbs, Brandon
Well,
Jones thing
yeah.
last year had that same element.
short track, timing of the year, not being able to get away from each other. At this point, you think it's cutthroat in the beginning of the year. It's super cutthroat now.
I guess I'll ask you this, Jeff, because we've talked about this a lot, like playoff format. If we weren't competing for those 4 final spots, would we have seen as much action and as much, I guess, drama than we normally would on a given race?
Yeah, I think that's where it's a plus side for the format. And like I go back and forth all year, and even in the playoffs on whether I like the format. Like still this far into it, where this is like the 9th or 10th edition or something of this format, basically. And I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, this isn't the best way to decide the champion. Maybe they should go back to more of a longer thing, or like you guys have talked about with not the one race playoff, all this stuff. And then you see times like yesterday or this weekend, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, like I think people are we talked about the poll earlier, people think the Cup race was good because of all the points drama and the playoff drama. And now this guy's in, and, oh, what does this mean? And Byron's fallen back. He's only +3. Like you don't really, you're watching that so much that it sort of it's like an overlay on the race, and then you go, well, that was entertaining. Like I never got bored because you're constantly like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So I mean that's the entertainment part of it, and it seems to be It seems to be working, I guess.
So I thought all the way throughout, I thought that race was embarrassing, and it's. I mean, you're just running each other over. You reckon
it's Bowman Gray times 10.
Yeah, and and you see the difference, and it's I think it's ability kind of plays a factor into it because the same scenarios on the line on Sunday, and you don't have. I mean, guys are running into each other, but not to that extent. But I mean, it was just all race, just pile up after pile up and wreck after. I mean, we blew up with 60 to go. It's a 2-hour drive to my house. I almost made it home for the finish. Like, it was ridiculous. And I think that it's just desperation. And I think that that race will still matter a lot if I keep harping on that 3-race playoff. But if it matters a lot, but it doesn't. It's not the end all be all where you just got to go in there and start wrecking each other to get that final spot or it just keeps lending itself to. I thought that race was awful, and I thought that you could fix it by not making it the cutoff. And that's probably not a popular opinion, but I hate the fact that you just what's going to happen in these races now. Like Ty Gibbs went in there and blew Brandon Jones off the racetrack last year, and then now Austin and Creed get into it with Justin winning. So I don't know. I hate the fact that we just it's all win at all costs and just wreck the guy in front of you because I need that playoff spot. And
I think it happens at any track, honestly. Maybe not to that extent.
Well, you can't.
But
Most places, you can't do that. I mean, you can't just
I
blow
still
the
think-
corner and drive into somebody.
Well, but I still think you're gonna, if you go to like a Kansas, say Kansas is a cutoff, they're gonna drive 5 wide down to the corner and they're gonna start using people up. We see at the end of all these races. It's the reason we all pick the left side on the late race restarts because everyone goes down to that first corner and uses everyone up on the outside. Martinsville is just a much easier corner to do it at, and it's just an easier track to do it. So.
I don't know.
But that's short
I
track
hate it.
racing, though. I
But-
mean,
I don't think
some
you can
people-
fix it.
You
Tony
can't.
Stewart said he'd wreck Jeff Gluck's mama. I mean, but he's not lying.
No.
yeah.
I have got to make the championship 4. The only way to do this, if I'm Sheldon Creed, is knock the 21 out of the way, which he did very respectfully, I thought. You cannot not do that.
This is going to sound weird, but one of my favorite races this year was the first Atlanta race when Brad and Joey raced for the win because we had basically a plate race with no wreck at the end. Everybody finished that race. They raced really hard back to the line, and nobody got hooked. You didn't have the front stretch wasn't full of tow vehicles, ambulance stuff. Everyone finished that race, and it was a good race. We don't have to have wrecks like that. And I wanted to win that race, but also these guys it just doesn't have to end like that. And I'm glad that it did in that race.
But
Well-
you guys are overlooking that you are real racers. You are true racers. And so you're looking at this from we want to see this decided fairly and with respect. And I lean toward that side. But there's a significant number of NASCAR fans now who've been raised on seeing commercials every week and being this wreck, fight, all the stuff, which there was a time when NASCAR would never show wreck footage on commercials ever. That was against their policy. Now it's that's almost all they show at times. This is what they hype the race as. So if people watch Martinsville and they don't see what they saw in the Xfinity race, some people are dissatisfied. So I understand we're man, that's not the best display of driving we've ever seen. But some people are yeah, that was awesome.
Do you think anybody was dissatisfied with not seeing somebody rip the wall in 3 and 4 after they showed that replay 5,000 times and they banned it?
I bet they were.
I can't
That's
believe
all
you're
you saw.
promoting an outlawed move. I mean, I get it if you're recapping it, right?
Yeah.
Recapping it is telling the story of this happened here last year.
Yeah.
Promoting it is completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can't promote something
That's outlawed.
that's outlawed.
It's like when you got guys would get suspended for something and then they would
they use it all the
they
time.
use it for a replay and it's
hey, great fight.
yeah.
It's $10,000.
Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculous.
That drives me
But
bonkers.
what they're doing is a success because they're selling them out. So
When trucks race Talladega next year, you think they're going to show any replays of what could happen?
Ryan
trucks?
Preece accident.
No, the fight with Nick and Matt.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
No,
You don't think
you'll
that's going
see
to be
that? Yeah, you'll see it for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Well, we probably bullshitted long enough.
Well, I was just about to say, we're going into our second to last show potentially of the year.
Maybe ever.
And-
Potentially ever.
Sure that.
Yeah, this is it. This is it.
I know you have your whole bet with Jordan. If you'd like, I know that there's some really cool Dirty Mo merch online at shopjuniornation.com. And especially around the holidays, this could be. You could add some of this gear to your bet if you'd like for Daytona.
I would rather wear that than whatever he's gonna have me wear. I mean, that would be far. I mean, yeah.
You're
Show
gonna
up to
be,
the-
you're gonna be in a leisure suit. I got a feel.
I would absolutely rather wear that.
Show up to Daytona wearing a DVC shirt. But
So is it? What are
Sure.
the rules of
Yeah.
anything?
It's whatever he deems as like. I think he's gonna try to dress me in something that he would wear.
But it can't be like a costume or something.
I mean, that is what he wears.
See, I just thought of it as like a bad Miami Vice look, but you just went to a whole nother level of insulting Bianchi's.
Could you
Wardrobe.
see Jeff asking a media question in Daytona wearing like that bunny costume from the Christmas Story or something? Just goes walking to the media
I
side.
think
The Pink Nightmare.
You are giving him some great ideas right now.
I just
so
think
sorry.
I think Gluck's going to end up looking like a pimp at Daytona.
That's exactly what he's gonna look
absolutely.
like.
I agree.
That guy
Well,
from Friday.
if you would like to look cooler than whatever Jeff is going to be wearing in Daytona, head to shopjuniornation.com to get all your Dirty Mo Media merch.
Big pimpin', P-I-M-P.
That is not what they say.
You know what the worst is going to be like? Because sometimes
That's what the song says.
sometimes they you know, a lot of times at Daytona 500 is when they offer like some celebrity interview, and you're like, wow, that's
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool. Like I got to interview Jay Balvin at
Bristol.
At Bristol. It's like what, like walking to somebody's holler, like, hey, you know, like I interviewed like Vince Vaughn one year at Daytona at 50 Cent.
They're gonna be like, "Who is this
Yeah,
idiot?"
like what in the world is this guy? Like this is a NASCAR? What? Oh God, this is.
I can't wait.
Maybe it'd be like
This
yeah.
may be the most
I don't
entertaining
know.
thing in the whole offseason.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I'm going to retweet it right now and
we
just
should
say
have-
vote yes.
We should have Jordan. We should have Jordan like drop hints, like what are you gonna wear all throughout the off season?
just like a small picture of like a corner of something. You know what I mean? Like
All right,
scheme review.
Let's move on to spot on, spot off. First topic: NASCAR says they will not repossess Rick Ware Racing's 51 charter, even if the team is a bottom 3 charter this year. Freddie.
Man, I don't know where I land on this because I hate the idea of just taking a charter away. I wouldn't mind the idea of forcing them to sell their charter. But I think that in NASCAR's eyes, they see improvement. And for that reason, like I think if they were just terrible and remain terrible, this might be a different outcome. But Rick Ware Racing, we've talked about on here, has improved greatly this year. They're more competitive. Now they're making steps for next year to be even more competitive, they hope. So I think that plays a factor into it. But like, I think that if you were just sitting there and just awful and not like they had been for 4 or 5 years there, they didn't seem to be putting much effort into getting better. That might have come into play. But I think now with what you see going on there, I think it's the right call to not repossess the charter.
Brett.
I am spot on for NASCAR's decision to not take it because they are putting legit resources into this program, or at least that's what they're telling us. Signing Justin Haley, a legit resource from a driver perspective, big upgrade from where they've been. From a team perspective, it gives them, and I've had drivers tell me this point blank, it gives them an opportunity to go out and get better people. Because do you want to be a mechanic for Josh Bilicki or Justin Haley? Nothing against Josh Bilicki, but he ain't never won shit, not at least at the NASCAR level. So I look at it as, are they really going to do this RFK Alliance? And if they are, that's a big elevating resource to their performance. It should make them be able to go out and run top 22, top 25 every week. If they're going to run around out there dead last again next year, then they lied to us all. Because I know good and well Justin Haley ain't a last-place driver.
You alluded to Justin Haley's announcement being kind of early in the season than normal. Do you think this could be why? Could they have seen some pressure?
I think it was early because Justin wanted to announce it and be the narrator of why he's going to an organization that historically runs the back 10% of the field, right? And Justin did a great job, as did his team, of getting it out there soon enough to where they control the narrative and he controlled the why. Because when I opened that tweet, and we talked about this with Justin, I opened the tweet up and I had no idea he was doing this. And I go, what the is he thinking? And then you talk to him, which I did later that day, and it's like, oh, well, this is what he's thinking, and I hope it works out for him. You know, signed a multi-year deal, signed an opportunity to go race and get better. And listen, we've seen teams get a lot better. I mean, look at Michael McDowell. 2-3 years ago, he wasn't really relevant anywhere other than maybe a plate race. Obviously, won a Daytona 500, but outside of that, like, they weren't relevant. They weren't lead lap finishers. I think Rick Ware's making good moves. I think they've hired some really good people. Obviously, Tommy Baldwin is affiliated. So is Robbie Benton. But you got to put your money where your mouth is. If we're sitting here next year and you're still last in points, running last every week, that point I think NASCAR has to intervene. But can you really go take a charter back? A charter that's worth $40+ million.
Yeah.
Can you literally just say, give me this back and we're not going to give you anything in return?
Well, they put that into the agreement that they could. But I have to be careful because I don't want to, after I voted wrong in the Harrison Burton poll or whatever, I have to make sure I'm saying the right thing. So spot on for them not taking it. But I do think it's not as black and white as sort of Bob Pockris was describing his explanation from NASCAR. Like, it's not like they're starting park team. I think it's, basically, the fact that it's written into the language that, like, hey, if you're in the bottom three, it didn't say if you're not trying. So I think it needs to be more than just like, hey, they're not starting parking, so they're good. But I agree with what you guys said where, they are clearly making an investment. I mean, the Justin thing being a multi-year deal, I mean, that is a big thing too. It's not just like, hey, let's get this guy and make it look good so they don't take it or something.
Yeah.
So, they're clearly trying to get better. So I think that is worth something. And it would be a huge step to be like, yeah, thanks, I got this charter now. Ooh, we're going to make some money, boys.
Yeah, that would be a bad look as well. I'm spot on for them not taking it because they're making the effort to add names, like Brett said. You got Tommy over there. You signed a driver with a name with multi-years. Now you signed him early, and who knows? If you get Justin early in the year like they did, it also gives them the ability to, hey, what are you doing next year? They started that months ago. Hey, you want to come over here? We need, I'd like you to work on this car. Now you have a chance to go add names, early. And who knows? I don't know. I'm sure they've got a plan. And obviously they shocked us a little bit when they did all that. So
when you're Justin Haley, TJ, and you have an opportunity to go sit down with Steve Newmark and Brett Keselowski, and you look them in the eyes, and they say to Justin Haley, we want you to come over here because you can make our team better. We can give you resources to make that team better, and you can and essentially make us better too. That's a big deal for a guy like Justin Haley to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, any driver, you go and sit there, and do that. But for Justin I felt like Justin was at a point where he might have felt like he needed to do something too, and it's just my opinion. And I think I'm excited to see. I feel like Justin's going to go in there and feel like he has something to prove too. So you want a guy that's going out and has that fire to go, and he wants to go and run good. So I think it's a good move. I think they're making the right moves, and we'll just have to continue to see what pieces they get.
Yeah, you got to think that when they wrote this rule, did they have the foresight to know that these charters are going to be worth $40 million at some point? You know what I mean?
When this rule was written, what was that charter worth?
2-3 million.
I was gonna say
what Spire pay for the 78 charts? Like $6 million. So
I remember when the first
the
one got
number
sold
one
for like
charter.
$1 million. It was like, wow, is it really worth? Geez, $1 million.
I bet Tommy Baldwin wish he wouldn't have sold his.
Oh my gosh!
Because that's the thing. Like what this? All right. So let's say last year they were going for $10 million, right? Which is a big rumor. Let's say you have to spend $8 million to fund your charter because you have zero sponsorship. Now that charter is worth $40 million.
Yeah.
It was absolutely worth you spending $8 million to fund this charter that's now worth $40 million. And so where is the ceiling on this thing? How many more years are you willing to spend $8 million knowing that it's going to go up more than $8 million a year every year?
I mean, it's like a franchise, like a football franchise. Like you see the guys that bought these football teams like 50 years ago or whatever for
nothing.
And now look at them, billions.
Look at Michael Jordan. $200 million turns into $2.2 billion in 10 years?
Yeah.
The sky's the ceiling. No, what is that saying?
The sky is the
floor is the ceiling.
What?
He
That's
said, I know
also
what you're
wrong.
talking about, but I don't know what it was
I don't
saying.
remember.
Where's the stealing?
It was something that somebody screwed up. I think was it him?
I think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was yeah. Somebody
I don't
screwed
know
up that
this.
saying.
I'm gonna title that the show.
There's no way Andrew's ever heard of it.
No,
That rock he lives under.
I mean,
floor-
some
the
of it
floor is
didn't
our
even know.
ceiling.
And I damn sure can't Google it in here with no Wi-Fi. Now we have no air
I
conditioning
still
and no
can't
Wi-Fi.
prove that I voted the correct way in the Harrison Burton poll. God, so much for 12 questions.
It took me 10 minutes to look up whether or not Alex Bowman had won a race this year because I couldn't remember. But he hadn't.
Did he?
No, he has not won a race this year. Yeah, Alex
Because
has.
that's what I was looking at. Is like
Yeah.
Hendrick has 10 wins. Obviously, Byron has 6. Larson has 4. The other 2 have 0.
Yeah, because we talked about Alex and Chase both having to win races
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
But Bowman,
So-
was he really, I mean, not to go to total sidetrack, was he really ever the same? I mean, it probably took him, even though he came back, like to have a back injury like that you're dealing with for so long. I mean, I think it was Denny, maybe on his podcast, talked about like after he'd come back from his broken vertebrae, like he didn't have the feel in his butt, like in his lower back for a while. Like for the rest of that season or something, which
Yeah.
you need obviously as a race car driver to have the feel. So,
Wow.
you know, maybe I think Bowman, you know, should get some slack on how how he's run, in my opinion.
Back to drama between Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed. Richard Childress tells Dustin Long, "I've had drivers drive for me before, but nobody as stupid as Sheldon Creed." Spot on, spot off, Jeff.
Brett,
Just
you
go,
want,
Brett.
Brett, you want to take this?
Just leave this one up to Brett.
No, I want
That's
Je-
why I was avoiding
No, I
Brett
100% want Jeff to go.
I don't think I can make it through this part.
All right, listen, we had a text thread.
Live look at.
We had a text thread on Saturday night, and I f***ed up. And I tell y'all, I f***ed up. Like, I royally f***ed up. Because my brain, it doesn't work right.
Look. The most obvious to say that somebody's the stupidest person that ever drive for Childress. It's a fairly obvious answer, and I'm not trying to. Well, I am trying to insult somebody, I guess. But you know, John Wes Townley was like probably one of the worst race car drivers we've ever seen at the top level. He wrecked everything all the time. He tried to murder somebody, his estranged wife, and her, you know, with breaking their house in with an axe a couple years ago, and got shot. And he is no longer with us. It doesn't change the fact that he was stupid while he was with us, in my opinion. Anyway, Brett, speaking of stupid,
I am as stupid as he is accusing me of being. That's all I'm going to say until he gains his composure and can finish the story.
The tweet, the text was, "Oh my God, Brett," and that set off a chain reaction of disaster.
I said, "Oh my God, Brett, did you just tweet about a dead guy?" And I was like, "No."
because Brett tweeted with a GIF and it said "live look" at John Wes Townley. I just said, did you just say "live look"? Because I thought he was doing it on purpose.
I
thought,
forgot
wow.
he had passed away, and I apologize to his family and friends because I f***ed that up. It f***ed it up so bad I deleted the tweet.
That might be.
How does that happen? Because I was like, how
I'm
does
an
Brett
idiot.
feel bad about this? I thought it was, I mean, dark humor, and I'm sorry, but
It was not. No, I didn't mean that at all.
Brett said he's dead.
I've never seen somebody backtrack like that. Like he was apologizing to his family in our group text.
You don't think any family members were in there with us?
Oh God! I was like, I was dying. I was worse than this in my hotel room by myself.
I kind of I didn't see it when I first started, but when I came in there and I'm like, oh my God, this happened. Like that, I was like, holy.
The responses to it.
What?
my
Oh, people
God.
responded.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they responded.
Oh, they were not. Some were on your level, and then some were just
calling
calling
me
you-
bad names.
The dark humor was
which,
high
I mean,
on
you
some
should
of
be
them,
used
but-
to on Twitter. You probably don't
Yeah.
see a lot of it,
Well, Lord, what's Larry the Cable Guy say? Lord, I apologize.
but oh goodness.
So are we
Sky's
spot on
my-
or
my
spot off for
abs
Richard's
hurt.
comment?
Okay, sorry, we got
Oh yeah,
sidetracked.
sorry about that.
These are the stories that probably shouldn't be told that we tell on here. I'm sweating now.
It
by
makes
the way.
me look worse than you because you feel bad about it.
Yeah, Jeff's like
That's what I'm
Jeff
worried
was
about,
he
like-
he told
He
the
was
line.
running with it.
He told the
He's
line.
going.
He's like, "You're right. I wouldn't delete it."
I was asking people last night. I was like, should I even talk about this? Like, does this make me look terrible? I mean, maybe it does. So sorry. I hope my girls never see this. If so, but anyway,
It'd be fun. Anyway, so
What was the question?
I forgot.
To Richard Childress' comments about Sheldon being that he is
the stupidest driver.
Yep, pretty much. Are we spot on or spot off for this comment, Jeff?
how can you be spot on? He didn't even do anything. Like, how can I mean? What are we talking about? Like, why is everybody mad at him on his team? Aside from the fact that he's leaving and Austin Hill's staying, Andy Petrie's yelling at him. Childress is saying this stuff. Austin Hill's, I watched that because after Austin Hill was so mad and everybody's so mad, I thought, oh, maybe I missed something. So I went back and watched the replay. We were all sitting in the press box. They're playing it. And I'm like, well, point out like where he does something wrong. We're like, no, not yet. Nope. Oh, he didn't do anything. What did he do? Like, that's about as fair as you could ask to a Final Four spot on the line. You have to win. Like,
And Austin would have made it in, too.
No, he wouldn't have.
yeah, I
Jeff,
thought that
t-
until Freddie.
Talk about
Freddie
stupid.
came up with
Jeff's stupid.
I
Well, I thought that on point.
I actually looked into this with a statistician guy. for NBC.
Statistician.
Yeah.
Statistician?
Yeah, whatever guy. And he was not. Cole Custer did what he had to do.
He would have been one. Yeah, he would.
He would have been one off.
So I was
But-
wrong about that.
But still
listen,
doesn't
I am
change anything.
I'm spot on for Richard's comments because Sheldon was stupid. What Sheldon should have done was wreck the out of the 21. That's what he should have done. Like, if you're gonna go there, you got to go there. Like, you talk about John Hunter wrecking Brandon Jones. John Hunter won the race. I'm not sorry, John Hunter. Ty Gibbs
Did he?
won the race. So if you're gonna move the guy, Sheldon was too nice. He moved. We heard comments of Andy Petrie saying, you didn't give him a chance. What the you didn't give him a chance? He did give him a chance, and that was his mistake. Because what he should have done was line up behind, take the white flag, you square him up into one, and ship his ass in the fence, and the race is over. The yellow comes out, you're leading, race over, you win, you're in the championship 4. That was stupid on his part. He gave him a chance to race next to him down the backstretch, and you saw what happened in 3 and 4. So if you're,
But we would have murdered. Like, we just sat at the same table at the same podcast.
why would he care? Why would he care if you murder? He's in the championship 4. Like, if you're going to go there, go there. Like, if you're going to bump the guy, get rid of him. Like, win, because what you can't do is what happened. You can't move the guy out of the way and then not win the race. Like, that can't happen.
If you're thinking your teammate is going to be race you respectfully back or respectfully enough to race it out.
Which, by the way, I love Austin Hill. I've spotted for him before. Great guy. I love him. He started it. He drove into turn 1 and door slammed the 2 in the middle of 1 and 2. That
set the tone.
set it off right there, I think. And what?
But it's okay if he does it.
Yeah, like that's my point. Like, no matter what Sheldon did there, he was gonna be the bad guy. I think in that scenario on that team. No matter, even if he won, I don't know that they would have been
He
really
was
pumped
still
about
gonna
it.
be the bad guy.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
what he should have done if you're trying to get in that championship 4, you square him up into turn 1 after you take the white flag and wreck his ass and get that, because this is what we talked about, win at all costs, and this is the stupid shit we do now at this race because we got to get in this final spot. That's what, if you're going to go there, we talked about there's no such thing as halfway crooks. If you're going to go there, wreck the guy, win the race, and go to the championship 4.
If you're a fan, the spot-on factor for this of authenticity is 100% because you got Andy Petrie on TV going up and arguing clearly with Sheldon Creed. And we were allegedly told what Freddie said, which is, what the are you doing? You didn't even give him a chance. We've got Richard Childress MFing the driver, saying he's the stupidest driver he's ever hired. Oh, by the way, he's got to come and race for him this weekend. That's awesome. You've got Austin Hill walking by Sheldon Creed's pit box, clapping and making antics there, when in reality his crew chief and tire changer and mechanic didn't do anything wrong. They were watching the race from where they sat. Then you have Austin Hill go out and make these comments about they used to be friends, and he can't wait for him to leave and go to Joe Gibbs Racing. So if you're a true fan, this is entertaining as it's 100%. Right? Like, it's top level. But if you're in the sport, which we are, the 4 of us are, I've worked on the PR side, those are all PR nightmares. I mean, it's Richard Childress taking his watch off and beating up Kyle Busch, PR nightmare, because you have 3 different individuals within your organization representing you publicly poorly.
I don't think that is a PR nightmare, though. And the reason why is it would be a PR nightmare if those people regretted that or were embarrassed about that. I don't think that Childress is going, man, I wish I had done that or said that, right? Like, I think they are very, they get their chests out and they're like, no, this is how, we feel this way. So as a PR person, you just represent what they feel. I mean, Is it a bad look? Oh, I 100% agree it's a bad look, and fans are judging them for it. But from a PR standpoint, you're like, well, we just keep going with this. The talking points. I mean, it's like the PR from Tyler leaving last year. The timing couldn't be worse, or whatever. Yeah, but that is representing your leader, your organization. So
if you're a Mike Arning, if you're a Drew Brown, if you're a true PR 20+ year veteran, you're shaking your head and going, please stop.
I agree, but I just think it kind of nobody's going to get mad at you. No, your boss is not going to get mad at you.
Yeah,
because you just have to just keep going with what the team feels. Now, if they go, boy, can you clean this up for us? That's a PR.
That's a PR nightmare.
Yeah. I think Andrew also has a clip too. If you want to share that, it might help.
This is Sheldon Creed post race talking about, because he heard what Richard Childress said, and not what Richard Childress said, but what Austin Hill said after the race.
They clearly like him, and he's done a really good job, and he's won 4 races this year. So I'm so happy to be going where I'm going, and I'm just proud of my guys for giving me a car capable today. To be there at the end and have a shot at that. This place always ends, and just dirty racing and that. So they're all going to be mad. I got one more race left, and I'm going to go and leave it all on the table for my guys because they deserve that.
You know who I want Sheldon Creed to dress up as for Halloween?
Who?
Austin Powers.
He looks like Austin Powers.
That would be awesome.
He does a little bit.
He should show up in Phoenix as Austin Powers.
The tone was almost set for this on, when was RCR Fan Day? Was that Friday?
Friday.
Friday afternoon. Sheldon gets up at RCR Fan Day. They had Sirius XM out there, and they're doing live interviews with all the drivers and whoever else. And Sheldon gets up there and says, "Yeah, I've had my deal signed for a couple weeks, and it's going to be the best opportunity I've ever had." At RCR Fan Day.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So the tone, there's obviously some
they don't
kind
like
of
that. They don't like when people are leaving.
Yeah, we saw that last year.
I'm still spot off for
Harvick leaving, Clint leaving. Like, there's a history of if you're leaving, screw you.
Yeah, that's how it is. I'm spot off.
I got fired because Elliott Sadler left.
Well, yeah, blame it
I mean,
on
he
Elliott.
probably had a few other reasons, but
I still don't. I think there was multiple things though that still happened. Austin didn't get the best restart at the end of that race. If that all that stuff really probably doesn't happen like it does if Austin gets a good restart, then he doors Sheldon. When he doored Sheldon is when it all. I think Sheldon started. I think that's when the Sheldon's like, okay, well, that's how we're going to race. We're going to do some bumping. And then Sheldon timed it perfectly, in my opinion. He did it in 3. He moved him up the racetrack. Austin still cleared him down the front.
Yep.
And this is the move that I was talking about before with the late model race there. Guy over there in the hat. You can move people up the racetrack without wrecking them. And I think Sheldon did a great job 2 times in a row to get him up the track. And the only part where I think Sheldon really messed up was into 3. I think he lifted down the backstretch. I'm assuming he lifted 3/4 way down the back to try to keep the 21 on his outside. And because you saw the 21 give up some ground really quick, I think Sheldon saw that and lifted himself. But then I also think Sheldon rolled into the corner. I think he might have got back in a little bit.
He was too fast.
And he went up the racetrack. If
100%.
Sheldon runs the bottom in 3 and 4,
Yeah.
100%. He missed the
wins the
corner.
race.
He missed the corner.
Yes.
I think he checked up to try and hang Austin on the outside of him, like you said, and then was like, "Oh, I'm way too slow," because and then
that's what I'm saying.
Then released the brake, and then was like, "Oh, shit, now I'm going too fast," and had a.
Listen, man, it's hard to judge already, but then that's why he didn't necessarily slam the brakes in front of Austin purposely.
He had to gather it up.
He had to make the corner.
Yes.
And the only way he was going to make the corner was to slow down, and the 21 saw that as an opportunity to, okay, well, F this guy.
I'm going to cram him in the ass.
Well, yeah, because you can see, I don't know if you said this already because I was texting somebody, but you can see that on the SMT, he throttles up a lot harder earlier than he did the previous
He tries to hit him.
Yeah.
Like, if there's anything you want to look at and talk about the dirty part, that he was trying to wreck the 2.
Yeah.
And he was trying to wreck the 2 right there. And if you want to talk about being dirty, I mean, first of all, you started in a 1 on the restart. And
You're not willing to concede you lost the race.
No, and like a guy races you how you race him, and then he was going to finish him right there if he could have, and then blame it on the 2 the whole time, and it was still end the same way. But that's the only part that I think where Sheldon messed up was he got in there a little hot and got up the racetrack and gave the 21 an opportunity to hit him. So
and
other
the
than
7
that,
to get under him.
Yeah.
You've never been more right on this show than you are right now.
Well, okay, so I had heard a counter argument to this, or another explanation. So tell me if you think this is wrong. The that Sheldon was going, and he was trying to park it in the corner enough to get a bump from behind, and not realizing that Allgaier was going to come up on his inside.
That's all. You're wrong. Or you can stop already.
Well, I didn't. This is not my.
I completely disagree with that.
If you get bumped in the middle of the corner, Martinsville in an Xfinity car, you're going sideways. You don't want to get hit in the middle of the corner.
Especially when you're getting into gas.
A cup car, I will say yes. A cup car, if they hit square in the middle,
wide tires. Yep, they can hold.
That guy's
drop a gear.
Yeah, I watched Bubba do it 7 times in a row to whoever you were behind that one in the cup race.
Yeah, we put Cindric in concussion protocol for a little while.
I mean, he hit Cindric like it was like 4 or 5 laps of every corner. He was driving in there to hit him every time. And Xfinity car, if you hit, you're spinning out.
Okay,
like right there.
Good to know.
I did talking about dropping a gear and going. I heard they're testing a new transaxle at Phoenix, hopefully to eliminate that. So that would be nice if that works. I don't know if it will work, but
I talked to NASCAR about this a little bit yesterday because I said, hey, I'm coming on door bumper clear. You want to give me some info in case we talk about short track? I didn't know it was actually going to be viewed as a decent race. I thought we'd be saying,
when's your meeting?
I thought we'd be saying how bad the short track package is. So, and I wanted to ask about, me and Brett, we both said that there needs to be a different short track car, all this stuff. So I ran all this stuff by them, and they did say for Phoenix, like, they do think there's some things. It's not just, it's not just tires, which I think the tire, well, actually, it didn't really wear out yesterday, but it laid down more rubber. But they are trying some stuff at Phoenix that they think could be not game changers in what they thought like that up-down splitter was going to be at Richmond, but they feel like there's enough tweaks to make on this car still that it's doable.
It needs to be big.
And
We did this last year, though, too.
The Phoenix test we're talking about, not the race, obviously.
We did this
the
at
Phoenix
Phoenix.
test,
There's a
which will
test
be
a couple weeks from-
Champions Week, I think.
We did this. We did this a test last year at Phoenix too, though, because I went to that test. That's where we tried we run the mufflers and stuff there.
Yeah.
I think the tire was actually, it didn't have much fall off, but it laid a lot of rubber down, which changed the racetrack, which made the racing. There was actually a second lane a little bit. If anything, to me, it's just too much tire still, and they don't have. You still don't look at how many the Xfinity cars were sideways off the corner if they wanted to be. Like, I mean, there was more throttle control in an Xfinity car than a Cup car, and to me, it should be the opposite way. There should be more throttle control in a Cup car. You should have to work. You should have to. It's an art. I mean, how many guys back then? When you first started spotting, it was like that. And how many times did we see guys drive it? How many times have you seen Jimmy or Kyle or Greg Biffle or cars come off this corner at Dover sideways? Like you could see their whole door every lap, like at lap after lap. You're like, he's wrecking. No, then it got to be
do
normal.
that with 500 horsepower and a wide tire.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like there's no art to driving it like that anymore.
I asked at one point yesterday because it was like the middle of the long run. Chase was leading, so it was towards the end of that long green run, and he wasn't catching us. So I wasn't really worried about it, but our internet wasn't working, so I didn't have lap times, and I was like, what are we good? Like, was the 9 catching us? Whatever. And they're like, no, literally every car on the track is running the same lap time.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
If you got
and we're all and the 9 had stayed out. Some guys had short pit a little earlier and stayed out or took 2, and we're just all running the same lap. Like no matter what it was, like you didn't like we literally in the beginning of the race could not pass the 78 car. Like we weren't very good, and we were trapped behind the 78, the 15, and the 51. Like couldn't get around them. It took us probably 10, 15 laps.
It took us 7, 8 laps to pass the 78.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
he was on the outside.
He was on the outside, and it laid a little rubber down up there, or was gripping up on the exit of 4, and he could keep the momentum.
Yeah.
So, which is, it's cool that it does that, but man, these guys just don't have their. You don't see as many guys. How many times we go to Martinsville and see a guy back it in?
Yeah, there's no penalties anymore. Like there's
no wheel hopping. There's like you don't have any wheel hopping.
If you
anymore.
get in too deep, you just drop a gear and take off. Like it's
all when you get in too deep. Literally, they just wiggle a little bit and then they point. They slam on the brakes. Even if the guy hits him in the back, all it does is it messes the guy behind up. Yeah. It doesn't even mess him up.
I hate it because that's my favorite racetrack, and I thought that race was terrible.
I feel like it's closer. I felt like it was a little
better
bit better
than it has been.
Yeah, it was better than the last one, but
I feel like we're getting
the bar's
there.
been pretty low for
right.
I feel like Martinsville's like a dive bar. It's the best Cup track in the worst town. And if you're a dive bar person, like you got to go watch a race here. I will say this for you guys: it was better on TV than it was in person. Is the best thing I can tell you.
You were doing both? You were there?
No, but I mean, I'm hearing what you guys, and I've seen what everybody on Twitter was saying about in person, and then I was obviously watching on television, as were guys like Brian Murphy, who's obviously a purist from a racing perspective. The Xfinity race, from an industry perspective, was flat out embarrassing. To have an hour red flag or whatever that thing was to clean up the track, like the way that whole thing played out, from a TV perspective, full-blown embarrassing if you're a true racer. Sunday was a decent race. Was it great? No. Do they need to look at your poll where 80% are saying it's great and stop working on this car? 100% no. Please don't do that. But it was a better race on TV. Maybe NBC's to credit for that, but it was a better race on TV than it was in person.
Can I ask you this? You talked about that hour-long red flag, and I was driving home. So it's my understanding that we took an hour to clean the track up and then went yellow and burned off like 3 or 4
minutes.
Like 3
Felt
or
like
4
10
more
minutes.
laps and
Yeah.
went to a green white checker instead of a 5-lap.
Yeah.
You know, like why do you not just get the track clean, roll off, pit road's open?
Apparently what happened, because I asked about this too. So apparently what happened was all those cars sat there for so long, and then when they left, they had all dropped more stuff. Like they'd sat there for 28 minutes for that reb, and stuff all puddled. So they'd clean the whole backstretch, got all that done after like several cars had like oiled it down. And then all the cars move off, and now they've got stuff on the front stretch. That just was a bad situation. They had to completely buy the Walmart in Eden completely out of Tide.
Really?
NASCAR
to
went-
clean the track?
They
Saturday
were still
night.
cleaning it in the morning when I got to the track.
Yeah, like apparently like the sun being down and all stuff, like they could not get the oil off the track. It was so stained, and so it was still so slippery.
I would find whoever did that to the track. Whoever,
I think it was multiple because I asked.
I would find them all.
Well, it was
Yeah,
multiple.
I mean-
It was multiple wrecks, though. It was that one that caused the red flag, and then it was after the race.
Yeah,
too.
but what causes that is those people driving around there leaking fluid.
I totally agree with you because in NHRA, if you oil down the track, isn't there a
It's a
penalty?
fine, yeah, I think so.
I would find the out of them.
I would say like, hey, you lose your pit selection or something next
I wouldn't
week
let them
if you
practice
oil.
for a month. I'm telling you that. You can't ruin the viewer experience and the fan experience because you're stupid.
Because how often do you see like, oh, that guy, I don't know, he's starting to smoke a little bit, he might blow up, and you even hear, oh, maybe it's going to overheat or something, and then they keep driving around, and oh, wow, what happened?
Yeah.
But, like if they know there's a consequence to it, and like we got to get off the track.
So
man.
this happened to Chandler on Saturday. We, big stack up. We kind of get in the back of somebody, and I don't know why. I still haven't heard what happened. I don't know if we knocked an oil line off, but it's he runs into somebody, and it's a little bit of smoke down the backstretch, and I'm like, oh, we got a tire rub, And then when he comes by me, I'm like, oh no, it's coming out the center of the back of the car. I said, we got a problem. I said, pit. But we drove by the pit road entrance one time. Because I thought it was a tire rub, and we ended up coming down pit road, and we were leaking, and they had to clean up a mess for us too. But like, I know you say it's stupid, but it's not. A lot of times it's not malicious. You're just
Inadvertently, it happens. But if you go back and look at this, and these idiots knew they were leaking and they still did it, I'd find them.
This is the number one thing that gets spotters called to the hauler. Is usually have him stop, and he keeps going, and it's like driver, crew chief, and the spotter of X number be at the hauler after the race.
Yeah, even though you told him to get out, you've done your part.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Spot on, spot off. With another heartbreak ending for Denny Hamlin, does he have a better year next season? Jeff.
How do I say spot on for this or spot off? I mean, spot off for him being out because from a media standpoint, he gives us so much material. He gives us so much to talk about. People obviously don't like him. He got the most boos. But I think you need that foil a lot of times. You need somebody to care either way, which, I think a lot of the drivers who are left, people are kind of neutral on a lot of them. People probably feel strongly about Larson, maybe one way or the other more. Blaney's popular, but Byron and Bell, I think people are kind of like they don't hate them, I don't think, but they don't like love them like they're Chase Elliott. But people definitely feel strongly about Denny Hamlin. You're not neutral on him either way, right? So the fact that he's eliminated after it seemed like it was going to be his year, and he didn't really do anything wrong that I can think of the entire playoffs. So he just at Homestead, just a power steering failure, jerks the wheel out of his hands, he's done. But will he have another chance to come back? I mean, we're the same age, so I don't want to say that he's old, but obviously from a driver standpoint, at some point in your mid 40s, you drop off. So to keep thinking that he's still on top of his game, he'll be able to come back next year, he'll be able to do it, and his team won't. You don't know if JGR is going to have a down year. You don't know. So I mean, this really could have been his last best chance. But again, from his standpoint, just like last year, what are you going to do about it? Last year, you got Hail Meloned. I mean,
even he said it during, I think it was a serious interview, like he felt his team overall, they had a better and more successful season this year, which I actually agree with. I think, long term, and like if you look at his stats, they're they're impressive. And I don't know. I think age is also. Do you agree with this? Like age in this sport, I don't necessarily feel like what age he's at, he's pretty much gonna peak.
I don't know. I mean,
Boy, history tells us that's not the case.
yeah, I mean, David Smith, who's now at RFK, always, he'd done the research that a driver's peak age is 39. That doesn't mean after 39 you're done, but at some point it seems to just drop off a cliff. I don't know why. I don't know if it's hand-eye coordination or what it is, but some guys. I mean, Mark Martin did it.
Mark Martin's he's an exception though.
But most guys.
I mean, Jimmy Johnson didn't go out winning. Kevin Harvick, it doesn't look like he's going out winning. Guys, it's heartbreaking. I mean, Denny Hamlin, 3 wins this year, 51 in his career, 3 Daytona 500s, future Hall of Famer, doesn't have the championship, has 2 more chances at it, we think. Obviously, that's a crazy statement to make because you don't know, to your point. Can he stay healthy? Can he be fast? Can he win races? Can he make it even into the playoff, not to mention into the Final Four? It's part of what makes this sport great. Denny Hamlin, whether you like him or not, is a needle mover. We need more needle movers in this sport in both directions. We have Chase Elliott, big-time needle mover. We have Denny Hamlin, the opposite spectrum, big-time needle mover. Kyle Busch, he goes to RCR. He wins 3 races. It looks like he's going to continue to be a needle mover. He's not a needle mover this year. Not for me. Like, he's not pulling at my emotions. He's not making me happy. He's not making me mad. He's not doing either one. He's become just a normal guy, like a Harvick became. Harvick used to be a big needle mover. He's really not anymore. Still has a big fan base, right? But I think Denny's great for the sport. His podcast is good for the sport. His performance is good for the sport. Solid team behind him. Chris Capehart may be my number 1 pick if I were allowed to pick who's going to be my crew chief if I were a driver. But I think from a championship perspective, having this conversation now doesn't even make sense for us to do. But to your point, at some point, he's going to get too old to go out and compete at the level which he competes.
I think it's very obvious that Denny didn't transfer to the Final Four because he's dumb and goes to too many basketball games. Is what I.
Your team, Eddie Gossett.
I think that's obviously what it is. That's probably what broke his steering. Like, I think he was driving into 1. He was probably thinking like, who are the Hornets opening the season with? I'm in the fence. Like, I think that's what happened.
So you think he only concentrates to win races? He doesn't concentrate to win championships?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like he's only. I mean, the 51 wins. He must have just like it must. It's probably not during basketball season. Like we got to go back and see like how this correlates. Maybe I bet a majority of his wins are probably in the basketball off season. If I had to guess now that I read some stuff.
How does he win during the Golf Guys Tour season?
This is what Eddie Gossett said. Why can't Denny Hamlin win NASCAR title? He's won 51 races, 3 Daytona 500s, a Coke 600, but never the championship. Inside scoop folks in the garage question his focus, his intelligence. He makes emotional decisions, losing points, and he's distracted by too many non-competition items. Talented, but, and then they show this picture where it looks like he's a goofy hack.
He's always, yeah. And then I heard there's a Facebook post that's longer that gets into more detail.
That's just kind of the same thing, but
a little bit longer. I mean, whatever. But I thought he had a great year, and he would be in the Final Four, I think, if the steering doesn't break last week. So it is what it is. And listen, these things. This is why we talk about a one race. I hate a one race deal. And if he wouldn't win the championship, it was a 3-race deal because he would have wrecked in one of the final 3 races. So still, but. Like and he was he was good. He was second best car there yesterday. And unfortunately, the guy that was the best car was somebody who was racing. So
showed a lot of grace in his post-race interview.
Post-race.
I don't know if, like Jeff, I don't know if it's spot on or spot off, but Denny's not done. He's still as competitive as ever. That what I see. And if anything, this style of racing takes more brain. Like, it takes a lot of intelligence to race these cars now and to not make the mistakes. And because it's hard to pass, it's hard to do that. And I still think Harvick would be. I think Kevin would have. If it's, I mean, obviously they've lost some speed. That places had not had as much speed as they've had in the past years. And if they did, I think Kevin's right there because Kevin still manages some pretty solid finishes from even when they don't have speed. He knows how to chip away at it because he's smart and he knows what to do. And I still see Denny doing these same things. I don't see a difference in Denny now, just because of a part breaking or something. I still see him racing hard. I don't see a difference in Denny yet, so I don't think his age is a factor right now.
But I guess what happens is you run out of time eventually, like Harvick, right? Like yes, I totally agree. Like, he's completely overachieved this season. He's still, on top of his game and doing everything he can, but he doesn't have the cars. Now he's run out of time, in his career. He's not going to be interested in being part of a rebuild project.
Yeah.
So, like, if you get to Gibbs next year, and things happen, right? Like, we think we know, at least I do, from year to year, okay, this team's going to be good, this team's going to be bad. What if Gibbs, for some reason comes out struggling next year? The other teams take a step up. He's just scrambling to, get top 10s. And he's like, man, like, at my age, we're not going to be competitive. Like, what can you do?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if Denny. I don't feel like Denny's there yet. I feel like even a bad year for Gibbs would be something like that. A back half of the top 10. But I don't. I think that's where they rely on guys like Denny to help get it straight, because Denny's going to help. I'm sure they've relied on Kevin. They're leaning on Kevin big time because he's the most experienced guy there. They need his input. So I think Denny would be a useful piece to getting things back right at that point. I don't know if I just don't feel like he's done. I don't feel like he is. I feel the same way with Brad. I still see the fire. I talk to Brad all the time, and I still know his desire. I still see the work ethic every week that he puts in, the studying that he does every week, and that's not slowing down. And
Ryan Blaney said something really interesting yesterday that I thought was, I want to know what you guys think, because you're segueing this into this, TJ. He said there's only 4 or 5 areas where you can really work on this car to make it go faster, and obviously their team has kind of figured out what those areas are and how to make it better.
He's had some strong races, yeah.
Is it really only 4 or 5 areas where you can work on the car?
They've definitely made the box smaller that you got to work in for sure, because you don't have the fabricators that can mold these bodies like you used to. I just think the areas that they can work in, man, you thought we had to stay in a box before. Now everything's like even smaller. They've made everything. The windows are tighter that you got to play in. Yeah, they've definitely. I don't know about the areas. I kind of know what he's referring to, but before you could make all your own stuff. Now we buy the stuff. So the areas are definitely getting consolidated and not as many of them to play in. So he's right. I do think he's right, but that's where you got to zero in, man. That's where these guys, you find the speed. You got to go find things that work with this new car. You can see, there's no, it's pretty obvious we struggled at the beginning part of last year, but the engineers that we have, the crew chiefs, the drivers, they've put a lot of work in, man. And
you got a lot better fast.
It was a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. So, for Chris to get 3 wins this year, and 3 of those wins could have easily been the 6 as well. So, which is cool to see. Brad and Chris make great teammates. So, and it's good to see the trajectory that we have going even into next year. Like, I think we all made it further than everybody expected us to make this year, starting the year out. So
I'm done picking Denny to be a champion. I did it for a lot of times, but I'm done because maybe I'm jinxing him. Still pulling for him.
I did the same thing this year. So
how many races could he have won? Like, he won 3, but it felt like he could have won 8.
Yeah, and
9.
Then by the way, you have enough playoff points that he would have been able to overcome 8 point.
Yeah.
Missing the cutoff by 8 points. So,
but that was the drama of yesterday too. Like, sitting at this table last week, I was like, William Byron, all he's got to do is manage this race. He'll be fine. Look at all these points he's sitting on. And then turn the race on, and I'm like, ooh.
He was out for a while.
He sure did manage to screw that up.
So should it be considered where you look at overall points and what each position means for a driver like a Denny Hamlin, who, like, a one shot and you're pretty much done for?
I think ultimately we're going to, like, when we take a big step back from this era and say who was the best and all that stuff, it's not as cut and dry as, when Dale Sr. was winning championships, or Gordon or Jimmy even though that was largely in the chase format, the 10-race format. But, like, I think you're just even Final Four appearances, right? Like, a couple years ago, Harvick doesn't make the Final Four when he had the dominant season. So you can't look at that and be like, well, he didn't have a good season. We can't, like, you have to account for that. So I think ultimately it's going to be wins. I think you're going to sort of default to, like, all right, who is the best of this era? Who's the, it's, well, how many races they win, period.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can really use, championship runs as like the indicator anymore, because it's so much like the baseball playoffs, what we're seeing now, the Diamondbacks in World Series. Like you ride the hot hand, you stay around, you stick around long enough to get the momentum and try to ride it to a championship.
Speaking of William Byron, before we go to the last spot on, spot off, Casey, I think Andrew's got a clip. I had no idea until the race was over and I saw William get out of the car. By no means did he collapse, but he sat down on the ground. You could tell physically he was struggling, but he obviously made some comments about what he was going through inside the race car. And it's important that our fans get this communicated to them, because I think too often, especially in today's time, Freddie and I talked about it last week, Denny drove his guts out. He was racing Ryan Blaney side by side. He wrecks, and when he gets out of the car and takes his helmet off, he's not even sweating. Like, you don't see the physical demands inside the race car.
Well, and just to add to this, Jeff, I know you were in this media scrum as well. Byron was sitting on the pit wall just because he was so exhausted after the race.
I'm really happy for my team. I can't state that enough. With like 50, 60 to go, man, I couldn't. It was so blurry in the car, and I just wanted to pull in, but you're not going to do that. I was going to, have a failure or do something first. So it's kind of hell in a bottle. I've never been so mad in a race car. I've never wanted to get out so much. I've never been so frustrated at the car, and how loose I was, how tight I was in spots. I mean, I just had no grip, and it's tough to do that.
That's 25 years old. You're obviously racing your way into a championship situation. I can't. It's blurry. Like, your vision is going blurry, and you still finish the task.
I mean, kudos to him, but you don't have a choice. Like, that's your whole season right there. It's if you pull in, you're done. We saw he was out for a while, a good portion of that race, and before that big wreck in 3 and 4 where Ty got turned, he was out. He was like -2, and then that wreck happened, knocked a couple guys out, and then he was +3 or 4 the rest of the race. It seemed like you gone.
Well, it's really not me out. We finished the race.
Yeah.
But
You got to wonder, though, if he's 100% today and in the same on level playing ground with Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, they're getting ready for Phoenix. Is he physically and mentally in the same spot, or does he got to spend a couple days here to – because it sounds bad.
I think you spend a couple days anyway doing that, like recovering, trying to do the best you can, setting yourself up for this weekend. I knew it was – Brad asked for a cold towel a couple times, and that's not normally – so he's like – he actually did say it was pretty hot in there. But that's all. He said it a couple times, and that was it.
I mean, Phoenix is not exactly going to be cool either, so do we potentially see some of the same issues?
I think there's more – you'll have more air movement at Phoenix, though, for sure, so I don't think you're going to have any issues there.
I think that was the problem. This was sort of like the first real hot next-gen race where at a small track, because like this could be the same kind of issue like at the Clash, right? But the Clash isn't hot, and usually Martinsville races are not warm at all. So I think the combination of the air not moving and then it being like Truex was pouring bottle after bottle of like cold water over his head afterwards, and you don't usually
normally
see that. Yeah. So it seemed like a lot of guys were kind of falling out of the seat a little bit, but I mean, Byron to hang in there and do that. I mean, yeah, like Freddie said, you have no choice. But like, I was talking to Max Pappas after the race for an article I was doing on The Athletic, and like he was saying, like he's Byron's longtime coach basically, right? And he was like, nobody after what we just saw, nobody can tell me that William Byron is a kid anymore. He's a man. Like that is something that requires a mental toughness to not only just finish the race, but to hang in there. And get the spots. I mean, because if he falls back,
it was what do you make it by 4 or 5?
He ended up making it by 8.
8, yeah.
But that's because he got all the way up to 13.
But when he was struggling, he was in by 3.
Yeah. And if he falls backwards, there's enough cars easily that he's done. And he was basically like committing to, I'm going to drive this until I pass out.
Yeah.
And I mean that's
insane.
That's insane.
That's mental toughness right there.
Casey, to your point, 86 the high for next Sunday, the Cup race.
That's normal.
It's gonna be.
Last year it was
It's a
cold.
dry
I
heat.
feel like it was not as hot last year.
Martinsville, it was freezing too last year.
Yeah.
I was wishing it was going to be 50 again yesterday.
Well, looking ahead to this weekend, spot on, spot off, a first-time champion will be crowned in Phoenix. You have Larson versus the rest of the field. A new champion, 100% will be crowned in the Xfinity Series.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ben Rhodes is the only potential repeat in trucks. Brett.
Obviously, it's exciting. I mean, when I look at this Cup piece, right? First thing I did was went and looked at what happened in the spring. William Byron.
Byron.
Oh,
Billy
you got my
Byron.
name?
Sammy Smith.
Willie B. Let's make it easy on my southern
Sup?
dialect. Willie B. finished first. Ryan Blaney finished second. Kyle Larson finished fourth. Christopher Bell finished sixth. Dude, that's tight. Like, that's one pit stop with 20 to go, and it's whichever pit crew wins the race. Then I went back to last year's championship race, and I remember picking Christopher Bell as one of my DBC picks because he got hot, and I thought he got hot at the right time. Christopher Bell finished 10th last year in this same race. Kyle Larson finished 9th. William Byron 6th, and we all know Ryan Blaney was fast to the point that people even said he probably would have won the race had his teammate not been racing for a championship. He finished second. Logano won his second championship. So, man, looking at statistics, looking at finishes, the 24 and the 12 seem to be the two favorites.
Yeah. I to your point of last year, Ryan was the fastest car, but he just rode behind Joey and you know
Protected him.
Protected Joey's back bumper to let him win the championship. But yeah, and you said they're hitting on all cylinders right now. They had a phenomenal, marvelous, stupendous. Weaver gave me a new word this week. This round, you know, they were great everywhere, and they're hitting on all cylinders. They're hot. It's a place they've been good at. And, I don't know. And Dale picked him, which Dale can sway anything in NASCAR if he wants it. So, it's hard to go against him right now.
I think having a first-time champion is cool, but I still say the best driver in the field is Kyle Larson, and that's who I would pick right now on the Cup side if you made me pick. Xfinity side, from an emotional standpoint, who all's in this thing? Al Geyer, John Hunter,
Sam Mayer,
Cole Custer. I'm going to say I want to see John Hunter win it because he deserves it because of how fast he's been all year. But I'm also going to say as a tie, I want to see Justin Allgaier win it because he's such a great guy. And he's made this Final Four so many times, and he's so good at Phoenix. So I literally am at a tie on who I would like to see win it there. And then in the trucks, who all's in it? Ben Rhodes and who?
Ben Rhodes,
Corey
Heim,
Hocevar,
Granenfinger.
I have purchased I'm not sure if it'll fit anymore because I gained 20 pounds as I bought it. But I have bought a Carson Hocevar T-shirt.
To wear, you're gonna wear it on Friday night?
I might have to cut the sleeves out of it and cut the neck so it'll fit over my fat ass. But I am pulling for Carson Hocevar.
You wouldn't have been
Who would've-
yesterday, that Cup race.
Oh.
I heard he made some moves. Actually, I heard it on the teardown that he was
He-
knocking Ty Gibbs around. And
No.
Just
Ty
right.
Dillon.
But, man, it's hard to be a
Lots
rookie at
of people,
Martinsville in a
man.
Cup car.
Well, I just think
I remember
he
Dale
was-
Jr. hitting everything, including the pace car.
I'm just saying, when you go to Martinsville, you're running the Cup race, you want to be competitive, but I think he was trying a little too hard to be competitive again. I mean,
Listen, he did what we crucified him on this show for.
Yeah.
He did it again yesterday. He right hooked somebody down the back straightaway.
yeah.
And you can't do that.
We told him he can't do that.
You can't do, and it's reactionary. It looked like, I think it was
It's
Dillon.
been built up.
I think, and
Like, you can see
and
it.
Ty moved him in 3 and 4, got underneath him, and then they bounced off each other a little bit in 1 and 2, and then he lifted and right hooked him down the backstretch, and you're like, damn it! Like you've done so good for the last few months, and then you just like something happens, you just revert right back to that way. You can't do that. Like you got to be better than that. Especially like you're not racing for anything. They were laps
That's
down.
what I'm
I
saying.
assume,
You were showing plenty of speed, which the only thing that he needs to go and do in these races is show that he can compete. And you don't have to be. I mean, he was literally running like he was running top 10 in the race. Like, I mean, racing everybody super hard. And I don't think that's the tone that he needs to set by doing that. He's shown already that he has enough speed. Now he's got to show that he has the mental capacity to do it. And by doing that, that a week, obviously that was a step back. We've seen him do really well here, and he's obviously doing really well in the trucks, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do this weekend. But you got a big brain a little bit more on the Cup side.
Who you got Xfinity champion?
Man, it's hard to. It's going to be hard to go against Justin, but I know we feel like we say that every year there, and but that is the last guy, and I feel like maybe now they had him out, and I feel like putting him back in right here, I feel like he's going there with I'm going to show these guys now they screwed up by letting me back in right here because he's arguably been one of the best cars. I mean, he has been one of the best cars all year. He's been super fast.
Putting him with Pullman has certainly helped
they've
him.
reignited a fire in Justin and that team. My wild card here is going to be Sam Mayer. He's shown up at times.
2 JRM guys, Freddie, surprise.
Well, I mean, he just shows up. Sam's Marty Lindley and him have really clicked this
They
year,
have.
and he's fast at places where I didn't think he was going to be fast at. So
Damn, NASCAR did not do Sam any favors on Saturday. Did you catch that move?
where they parked him
No, well, I don't know why they. I was probably
because he was
gone.
leaking on the track.
So is that the guy you wanted to find?
Definitely, he would be getting fined if Brett was there.
But earlier in the race, somebody wrecked in 1 and 2 one of the seed cars.
Oh, I saw that.
And they're like, which I don't understand. I guess I know what they're doing, but it didn't seem like an emergency. But I don't know. Maybe they saw something I didn't see. But they're like, stop so and so. Stop. Let us get our trucks across. And all of a sudden, like somebody stopped, and Sam was like chain reaction. Sam waylaid this guy down the front straightaway and blew the whole nose off his car. And I was like, oof.
Yeah.
I mean,
so they also messed up on that one. So one of the cars spun out down there into one, and Sam did a good job missing him, but he came to a complete stop. And a bunch of cars went around him. Sam stopped, like stop. Like, this ain't to maintain your pace like we argue. You know, if you keep up enough speed, you get to keep your spot. No. They put him back in front of about 10 cars, and I don't know how you do that if the guy stopped. But I mean, just be consistent with it.
Yeah, that's been a problem all year. I mean, the whole thing like that goes back to like the Chicago thing of not getting the order right. I mean, hopefully they can clean that up because that is not, you know. And there was a few pileups in Cup yesterday too, where you're just like, all right, well, how are they going to sort this out? And there was people going, it's not the spot I should be in, and
the truck race last year, we had an incorrect restart. It was 2 playoff guys, I think. I remember.
Yeah, because Lambert spotted for one of them.
Yeah, it was Majeski and maybe, I don't know who the hell Lambert was spotting for last year. Oh, Chandler. So,
Chandler.
you know, so there was a question of the lineup. I think it was off pit road probably. And Lambert's trying to get an answer on, it was him, must have been Chandler and Majeski. And he's like, are we ahead or behind the 66, whatever, 99, whatever number he was last year? And they choose based off what Majeski was ahead of Chandler on the choose. They choose.
Yeah, they boned.
Then they call it after we choose. They're like, they revert 18 ahead of 66 or whatever it was, and it's like, no, now you're too late. Like it was, and so we had the last restart of the race was incorrect, like with championship contenders. So it was you can't, like, to your point, that can't happen. Like, wave it off, get it right, re-choose, like whatever you got to do. The lineup has to be correct, especially in a place like Phoenix where lane choice is a big deal when you get down into one and we're 18 wide down there. So yeah, you can't screw that up. Champions. If you go by pure speed, I think it's John Hunter and probably Corey Heim. But
Toyota.
Yeah, they're fast. But I mean, Hocevar's been just as good as Heim, and they've been really good on short tracks. So we'll see what they got. But
I think the coolest part about Trucks and Xfinity is we get to see a full-blown race play out, and you feel like it's just going to be exciting on its own. I feel like on the Cup side, if we don't get a caution after that second stage ends, what kind of real championship battle are we going to see?
Yeah, or one with 15 to go. You know what I mean? I want to see a 60-lap run, then I want to see a 15 to go caution. All right.
it was just throw a caution.
The pressure on these
Fun
drivers to execute getting on pit road, running maximum speed while on pit road, maximum speed to exit pit road. And listen, these teams have analytics on all of this. They can tell you who's the best of this. That's why Truex sped yesterday. Obviously, he didn't mean to. He didn't think he did. But you can't afford to give up any time anywhere. And it's going to be a big deal there on the Cup side.
What do you think the penalty would be if you just picked the tire up and rolled it out on a pit road?
Didn't I ask that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, you said you could be. I mean,
let's just oops. Like,
if you're running second, you're not going to catch the guy. Like, what?
Just roll a tire out there.
Just roll a tire out there. You got to throw a caution.
Well, you're going to have to get a fan to do it.
Not really.
Could you imagine an industry guy rolling a tire out on pit road?
What if it's
a
fourth car? Your fourth car that isn't even anything. I mean,
they're going to have on video who did it.
It fell off the wall, Brett.
The fine after that would be
so
not
big.
worth it. It would be
millions.
Whatever you would think you're gaining by doing that.
That's right. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Y'all lost y'all's minds.
I wouldn't. I'm just saying. This is what I was questioning before.
I'd
Like,
throw TJ out there.
Yeah.
yeah, there's been.
Well, Nick Payne may bring out a caution this weekend. Sorry, Nick. Wear your parachute.
I don't know where he stands. I think they're down there at the same stand together.
I'm telling you, he needs to spot
They
one of them
probably
shark
are.
cages.
Joel, forget it.
Was there a lot of yelling?
I don't know. I think so. I wasn't down there. I was down there by you.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's quiet.
I know
quiet
there
on
was
our end.
probably-
How
yeah,
well do you know Joel?
Mostly from, tweets, really. I mean, I talked to him a few
That's
times,
Joel,
but
so
not
he's-
as.
Dude, he's so awesome to talk to. He's so miserable that it's funny.
Man, I feel happy for him that he's about to escape. I feel like.
I say Joel is the guy that could win the $1 billion lottery and bitch about the taxes. Like that's Joel in a nutshell.
Yeah, he's very, Minnesota Wild, he's angry at them, and NASCAR, he's angry at them, and
He's angry at Andy Petrie.
but he likes his dog.
He
loves
his
his
dog.
dog. Loves
That's
his
really
dog.
what
Yeah.
matters.
You know who he's really mad at?
Nick Payne.
No,
Harrison Burton.
Probably his old crew chief back in the.
He still hates him.
He still hates Fuchsia.
He tweeted that the other day. Somebody said, "Who's the worst crew chief?" He tweeted Fuchsia. They ain't worked together in 10 years.
So Joel, we could tell this story. He's quitting anyway. Joel is
Well, we think.
Joel is at a race, and he is spotting for Greg Biffle, who he's been with forever. And Matt Fuchsia is the crew chief. And Matt Fuchsia communicated to Joel on Channel 2 that Joel needed to have Biffle do something. Well, what he was asking Joel to communicate was against the rules because Biffle was the free pass or whatever the scenario was. And a lot of times, and this is good for spotters, we know the rules better than crew chiefs, especially in the lower series. But at the Cup Series, it happens too. And sometimes we don't even know the rules. Like when Freddie spun out at Charlotte and he didn't know he needed to stop and do a stop and go, right? It's happened. So Joel starts fussing with the crew chief on Channel 2, and Joel just says flat out to him, I'm turning this radio off because I don't want to hear you the rest of the race. And Joel turns his radio off. So on Channel 1, Fuchsia keys up, and on Channel 1, obviously the driver and everybody's listening, and he says, Joel, you better turn that radio back on or I'm going to get you fired.
No, he said, turn on your Channel 2 or we're going to have a problem.
Turn on your Channel 2 or we're going to have a problem, which means
And Joel said, we've already got a problem.
Joel's response to Channel 1 was, we've already got a problem. Wow. So I find out about this after the race. I'm laughing about it because, listen, in the heat of the moment, you can't let your skirt blow up in your face and get all butthurt and get mad. This is part of sports. Now, obviously, they shouldn't be on Channel 1 where the driver's out there racing having all this drama. But I get a text from Biffle the next morning, and it was, hey, man, any chance you know who can spot for me this week? And I was like, no way. I replied to Biffle, and I'm like, dude, there's no chance they're going to fire him over this. He said, oh, he's going to get fired. Like, this is they're that mad.
Wow.
And so that's when – and Joel already had issues with Fuchsia building up to this whole thing.
So I was there. I was spotting for Trevor. So me, Joel, and Herm get in the car after the race is over, and I don't know this is going on during the race. And we get in the car to head to the airport, and Joel's like, I'm getting fired. And I'm like, what? No, you're not. Like, he says it all, he says, I'm quitting, I'm going to get fired. And he would say it every week. And he's like, I'm getting fired. And I'm like, off, you're not getting fired. He's like, no, I'm getting fired this time. And sure enough, he got fired.
Wow.
Dude, he told them what races he wasn't doing, right?
This year.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, buddy.
I know. I'm jealous.
The meter is out. The give a meter is run out.
So,
on
yeah,
Joel.
it's end of a long season for a lot of us. And
Maybe we just have Joel on next week.
I would love for him to come on here. I would actually pay him to come on
He
here.
can co-host because I won't be here.
Yeah, I'll have Joel read the question.
Yeah.
It's a stupid question. Who wrote this stupid question?
Let's move on to the DVC A main where we catch up on all things dirt. And if you have any free time this week, you should probably be in the Charlotte area between the
Don't say it.
What? The Top Gun Invitational at Millbridge
Oh,
This-
there it is.
today and tomorrow. Plus, you have World Finals the rest of the week and this weekend.
Good
I
luck.
mean,
Jeff, you've dove into being a dirt fan. I want to ask you a two-part question. Number one, what all have you learned about the dirt racing world versus kind of the other motorsports that you've covered? And how big of a deal is it that Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet have bought the series from Tony Stewart?
Yeah, two great questions. I remember going to my first Chili Bowl, and I was kind of nervous because I was like, man, I'm going to be covering this dirt stuff, and I'm going to be such an outsider. They're going to be like, oh, there's the NASCAR guy, and the people are going to be like, why is this NASCAR guy here? Like, stick to NASCAR kind of thing. You know how motorsports fans get territorial. It has been the complete opposite the entire time. Every time I go to dirt stuff, that people could not be more welcoming, because if they feel like if you take an interest in their sport and you want to learn about it, and like you're there because you're not just like showing up to do some Instagram thing or something, right? Like you're there because you care. Like will totally embrace you. I mean, people have been the nicest race fans that I've encountered are in the dirt world. I feel like it's a great community. I wish I could do more dirt stuff because I mean the drivers. I mean it's so great, so laid back. It's so accessible. I think the value that you get, ticket wise for bringing a family there. I mean, being able to go to the pits afterwards and every driver stays. I mean, you go to a race that Larson's in, and he'll stay for like an hour afterwards and talk
Longer.
to like
Every single person he'll go through.
Yeah, he signs all their autographs, takes pictures, totally patient. Because he gets it, because he grew up in that world, So I love the dirt stuff. I think it's phenomenal. And yeah, them buying High Limit buying the All Stars is going to be intriguing. I was trying to get Larson to explain exactly why they were doing that, because I don't totally get the vision for it. And he kind of said this week that there's sort of a lot of details to work out still, like their schedule. They don't really know how many races they're going to do and all that stuff. But, how much is going to be midweek and things like that. But they obviously, look, everything that Kyle and Brad are doing, they're doing it because they want the sport to be better. They care about it. They're trying to increase purses, make life better for all their fellow dirt racers and stuff. And, I think they're going to do it well, whatever they do. I just don't know exactly where they're going with it or what the vision is.
Yeah. What you guys looking at me for? I can't go to the f***ing World Finals. Thanks, TJ.
I told you.
Thanks for ruining that for me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we got a truck practice on Thursday evening.
Truck practice.
Yeah, me and Freddie were both planning on going.
I've
to
been
dirt
telling
race.
y'all.
Brett, say it for me.
Truck. I've been trying to tell y'all for years.
I'm looking forward to the truck race this weekend.
I am too. The race, to watching it.
Yeah, I'm looking
Not
forward to
spotted.
the race. I got the guy I've had a few times, Jake Drew. He's been there before. I think he's won there before in a K&N car, so we'll see how he does. But yeah, it's kind of messing up mine and Freddie's World Finals plans because I think we were both going to go this Thursday to the dirt track.
I don't even know who's driving my truck this week.
That's probably something you should figure out.
Maybe they don't know.
No idea.
Maybe you should go to the dirt races and they don't know
So
who's
maybe
going
they
to
don't need a
spot it.
spotter.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Can you ballpark it?
No.
Let
I
me
literally
ask you
have
this.
no idea.
If you call them
Is there
Wednesday
an entry list now?
and say your flight got moved or something, you can't make it. Are they
I
going-
told listen, as of right now, I'm not going Thursday because I don't have a flight. I said, if you get me a seat on
Good
your
luck.
plane.
Good luck getting a flight
Oh,
commercial because I
so
spent. It is so
So
expensive.
you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's
It
a
is
chance.
so bad.
So I'll switch with you.
You want to do my truck while you're out there?
Well, don't forget to catch our show every Wednesday on Dirt Vision and tons more dirt action this week throughout the weekend. Moving on to Reaction Theater.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boys, right.
How many
We
calls?
got
15 calls.
we got at least 70 new calls by Sunday morning, and then Brandon,
Damn.
how many did we have when you opened it up?
Oh my gosh, we had probably close to 100.
Close to 100 more.
170 something?
Yeah,
That'll fill your
So-
Christmas episode up.
So thank you to all those who called in. We got a lot of hot tub comments, and Austin Hill is an idiot. We didn't get to play all 100 of them, but
Good summary.
here are the highlights.
Well, boys, I'm out of the water, and I've done dried off because we're headed to Phoenix, baby. Woo! Go 12.
I knew it.
Yeah. I'm glad you got out of the hot tub. That wasn't a good weekend for hot tubs.
They're popping bottles, them Blaney fans.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's one thing to not understand which of your drivers caused both of them to miss the championship race, Austin Hill. But it's a completely other thing to go air all the dirty laundry in front of the media. What a bunch of fucking idiots.
No PR nightmare, though, Jeff. We're good.
By the way, I just want to warn you. I thought about almost doing this yesterday. At some point, I'm going to call in a disguised voice and try to get on this show as me without
Please do
reviewing.
it.
Brett tried it one day, too, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
No, it did work.
No,
If
he
I knew it
on
was
it.
you.
But my voice obviously wasn't very disguised.
You should do it.
I will.
You should absolutely do it.
When you're dressed up.
Yeah.
Hey, NASCAR. This short track racing package sucks so bad your pace car just quit. Hey, I got an idea. Maybe the short track package should include a short track transaxle so you can eliminate shifting and get rid of this shit. Later.
So Bubba,
Later.
we were coming down a backstretch, and Bubba's like, we're on one to go, I think, or coming to one to go. No, it was on one to go. We had shows already. And Bubba's like, there's all over the back straightaway. And I was like, okay, 10-4. So I tell my official, and he's like, it's in 3 and 4 too. He's like, it's everywhere. And then the pace car driver's like, I'm dead. And just pulls out. I'm like, well, apparently the pace car's broke. He's like, I figured it had to come out of somebody's car because it wasn't.
MRN said, because obviously it's a bad look for a pace car to be broke. I mean, the OEMs probably are panicking, going, oh no, our pace car has broke down on national television. That's not what OEMs come to this sport to do.
What
right?
was it, a
It's like
Camaro?
the guy that time that wrecked the Corvette that was out there on pace laps in F1 and looked like a fool. Anyway, what they said on MRN radio was that there was so much rubber built up on the track that the rubber built up underneath the pace car and it screwed up some of the wiring in the pace car.
They unloaded a backup. They had it ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think NASCAR actually avoided quite the disaster there, because let's say that the leaders, they're right behind the pace car, really, right? And the pace car just suddenly dies and somebody does a Sam Mayer into the back. And so, what if you destroy the leader with the pace car dying?
Well, I mean, I was trying to get out of line and go around them because they're not keeping up pace car speed.
What if he drops stuff and the leaders cut their tires
over?
I don't think I think the Cup cars are a lot sturdier than the Xfinity cars in the front end, though.
I just enjoyed
bad.
the lap and a half that we had the cleanup truck as the pace car. That was exciting.
I was already in the garage working. We were working on our car. I was watching that.
That was a great, clever call by that fan, by the way.
Jesus. Austin Hill must have his nose so far up Richard Childress' ass that he can smell the last time he had a proctologist up there.
What's Lord. Proctologist?
Hey. You recently visited a proctologist.
That's not what they're called, is it? Is it proctologist?
Proctologist, yeah.
I call it a butt doctor.
If you meet a proctologist at a party, just plant yourself there. You're gonna hear the best stories you've ever heard all night.
Wait, what? Don't want to
That's not a party I want to go to.
Yeah, I'm out.
What the Probably would have kept that in.
Wow.
Andrew.
It's a Seinfeld reference.
Hey, Andrew's at this party. You guys want to come? No, I'm good. I'm not into that.
Andrew and his friend with the smelly fingers is outside. They want to come in.
Yeah, why is there all these gloves laying around at this party?
Andrew can drop Seinfeld references, but
You open
he
the
has no idea
cooler.
what's going on in the world at all.
You open a cooler and there's no beer. It's all them rubber gloves.
What the was that, NASCAR? You gonna let the last 40% of the race go without a caution? You've been throwing stand-up cautions all year long, but you're gonna sit here right now and let this go green the entire last half of the race, basically? Get the out of here.
Somebody should have rolled a tire out there.
What are they supposed to do? Pick up? I mean, we all say don't have phantom cautions.
If we throw a phantom caution there for a piece of
cigarette
something,
butt.
Yeah, hey, it's up by a shiny tower. It's not moving. Put it out. How many times we used to hear that back in the day? If we do that and two guys get on there and any of them wreck or move positions, everyone loses their cool.
Yeah, let it play out.
It was a natural finish, how it should have played out.
I used to love back in the day. It would be like
love,
Jesse love. There'd be no, because like what happens normally if there's actually debris is the corner spotter will call it in, and then NASCAR will say, "You sure?" whatever, and then they'll throw the yellow. But back in the day, it used to be turn 2 spotter. You got anything?
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah. Now that you mention it, I see something.
Yeah, there it is.
Be like, do you see anything? No. And they'd be like, you see anything? You sure?
Are
What
you
about
sure?
now?
And you usually check your phone and then check again.
Usually, when did that happen?
Wendell Jr. was a lucky dog.
You could almost bank on
Really?
it. Hey, don't pit here. Don't pit here. Dale's in the lucky dog
Don't short
spot.
pit. Dale Jr.'s a lucky dog.
You're gonna have to show me some stats.
It was Dale Jr. number 1 and number 2 was Danica. Danica was not lucky dog. You could expect something.
But I did see though that was like I think Joe Srigley. He's from TobyChristie.com. He had a stat that I think it was like 168 lap run to the finish, which is the longest green flag run to end a Martinsville race since 1996.
Wow.
So that was
That was a long run.
No wonder people thought it was gonna be a caution. You know?
Yeah, I mean, 4 guys banked on it. You know, they were banking on some caution. They couldn't make it.
Richard Childress says Sheldon Creed is the stupidest driver that's ever drove for him. Somebody needs to put Pop on the porch because he's out of his mind. Sheldon Creed didn't do anything that a Black 3 car wouldn't have done years ago to get in the position he was in those final laps. Without somebody driving like that, Richard Childress' name would be just as synonymous as Cecil Gordon or J.D. McDuffie. Nobody other than racing nerds would even know who his old ass was.
Big Richard Childress fan. And he's right.
Wonder if they let Sheldon Creed come in the shop this week or do simulator
Do you think
time.
do you think he drives a 2-car this week?
I was gonna ask that. Can they do that?
Gosh, man, if you don't, that'd be a bad look.
Now that's a PR nightmare.
That's a PR nightmare. The thing is, they probably have a contract that he has to drive it, and without calls, you can't.
Oh,
if
they
you
might
fire him, you're in breach. Then he can sue and.
I think if they wanted to, they could somehow, but it'd be bad. It'd be. I wouldn't want to do that.
The tweet up, that's what I want to talk about. The tweet up we had was amazing. Jeff Gluck is we don't deserve him. He is far beyond recognition.
I thought you said you were going to call him.
Anything
You didn't tell me you already
we can
did.
do on our side of humanity. However, he dressed like my middle school teacher. He looked like the science teacher in my middle school class, and I wish I had the guts to dress like that too. The man looked comfortable, and the man delivered. What comes out of his mind through his mouth and those fingertips when he types is something amazing. I think Jeff Gluck should be president of the United States, to be honest with you. But also got to meet Mr. Kraft. Freddie was so cool at my overbearing, please let me have a picture with you situation. But he was awesome, as is Gluck every single time. We love you guys. We will travel and spend our money because of you guys. Don't go anywhere and keep telling us those stories.
You're right. I couldn't tell that was your voice. You disguised that well.
Yeah, I have a really good impression.
President of the United States.
The United States.
I would have liked to announce my candidacy. I mean, we might as well do it right now here on the show. I am running.
Can I be your running mate?
Well, that's a good way to lose.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think you might have some.
That's the
some
biggest
baggage.
verbal reach around I've ever heard in my life on a podcast.
Yeah, that made me uncomfortable, but thanks. Except for the science teacher part, which obviously for the Daytona 500, I won't be dressing that way. So,
do you think that you're going to just fall in love with Jordan's clothes at Daytona and just wear it for the rest of the year? What if that? What if you're like, oh my God, this is so comfortable?
I don't have that kind of budget.
I
mean,
look so good.
You know, Jordan brings a separate suitcase, a separate bag of just shoes to the race each week.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's dedication to fashion.
I don't even have that many
What
shoes.
if you come home and Sarah's like, man, you were looking good today, Jeff? Like,
I'm at a loss here.
I don't even. Yeah, we can keep going then.
That's it, actually.
That's
it.
Thank y'all for the call.
All right, let's move on to Reaction Theater.
Let's try
Don't
it
forget
again.
to use 704-802-9572. Moving on to Ask TBC, use hashtag Ask TBC to send in your questions. This first one is from Nell. Jeff.
Oh, Nell.
Yeah, I love Nell. Jeff, looking forward to next year. Which of the new full-time Cup drivers do you think will have the most success and why?
Well, first of all, shout out to Nell, obviously a fan of your show and one of my old patrons and part of my I actually wore my I have this Misfits shirt that they gave me at Bristol.
Oh,
They all
nice.
signed. They told me to wear it to taunt you with it, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually part of the old Facebook group I used to have when I was on my own.
I tried to get into that group.
Yeah, you did. I wouldn't let you.
You got denied?
They virtually watch. They get on Zoom every week and watch the races together.
Really?
They have to like mute and time it because you have different timing stuff. But they're all across the country and they all watch together. And
So
at Bristol
cool.
they got together. So Nell's one of those. But
That sounds like a great place for Brett.
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, you know what?
Seriously.
I was thinking next year I'm not going to do a truck because then we could do like live truck broadcasts.
Yeah. Just
Like
what
the
we
Manning cast, but drunk idiots.
So who we got? We got Hocevar next year coming in. We got Josh
Barry.
Berry coming in.
Zane.
Smith.
Zane. And obviously
John
Nemechek
Hunter.
doesn't really count because
Yeah,
he
it's
already,
not his first year.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, out of those, I guess I would kind of lean toward Zane.
Really?
I mean, Hocevar is pretty tempting. Barry, I just don't trust SHR enough, so it's hard. But I think
Let's talk about SHR
Okay.
for a minute. What do they do? You're losing Kevin Harvick. You're bringing in potentially Noah Gragson. So your driver lineup is Briscoe, Gregson,
Priest.
Priest.
Berry.
Josh Berry. So not a lot of wins amongst those 4 in the Cup Series, obviously. Here's the biggest question, though. It's the last year of their Ford deal. And there's a lot of speculation out there, Jeff, as to what do they do after that. So you're going into a year where you need to have a great year. Is that fair?
Yeah, but I don't see how you do that at this point. They're stretched so thin, I feel like, and what are you supposed to do? Like you have inexperienced drivers. You don't, losing Harvick is a big blow, and losing sponsors. I mean, we already knew that they were losing, Busch Beer. Now they're losing Smithfield, because I thought, and Almirola said this weekend, hey, I was hopeful that Smithfield, I could get them to, stick around and continue. And then there was talk that, maybe they go with him to, the Xfinity Series or on some sort of limited basis. And now it turns out they're leaving altogether, which is that's tons of money. They were one of the highest paying sponsors left. So I don't know what you do aside from regroup or try to get slimmer, downsize or something. I mean, obviously if you can get so much money for your charter or something, I mean, look at Roush used to be 5 teams, right? And I think if they were going to try to maintain that over the years, it wouldn't have worked out. So sometimes, less is more. And I think, if you're SHR, you just have to consider after this coming season, like what do we do to reduce and strengthen it as a whole?
Yeah, they got to have a good year. I mean, somehow they've got to pull together and have a good year. And then, we talked about this on here even, like Rodney Childress is on Twitter asking for resumes.
Right.
I don't see a lot of crew chiefs doing that.
In the off season, you see more tweets about it, but.
And to your point, that there's another fairly big sponsor over there that's leaving that I know of, and it seems like we talk about on here all the time that you have to have that A guy, because if Harvick's not performing, there's something wrong with the cars.
Yeah.
I don't think you have that guy next year. Like, who's your A guy? Barry, that's never, run 10 Cup races, or, Briscoe's a winner.
Gonna be
but he hasn't. He struggled.
He's
all
been the worst
year.
car all year in that stable.
They've gotten better. They've picked it up a little bit here.
Well, the bar was pretty low for a while.
Wow.
I mean,
yes.
they were literally last.
But we need Stewart-Haas Racing to do well. I have a lot of friends over there. I want to see them do well, but it's going to be a challenge.
What do you do? I mean, I don't
Here's
know.
the good news for Stewart-Haas Racing. Gene Haas is a very wealthy human being, and as long as he wants to keep racing, he's going to have the money to keep racing. But you still need the OEM support on the technical side. That's what I'm worried about, is what happens in 2025 for Stewart-Haas Racing from an OEM standpoint. That's the biggest question mark hanging over the entire season for me going into 2024.
You've got a good group of young drivers there that have won another series, and so you have to regroup, and you have to keep trying to give them the pieces and get the cars fast. If you give those guys fast cars, we saw Briscoe win races with fast cars, drove over his head a few times, but he was fast. And same thing with Priest. Priest has shown speed at times, and I think if you give if you give these guys fast cars, I think these guys are capable of winning races.
Hendrick did the same thing. I mean, we were just sitting here watching them lose. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, and Dale Jr. in a very short amount of time. And they put guys in there that didn't have a lot of wins in the Cup Series or even a lot of experience in the Cup Series. And somehow or another, here they are this year with 10 wins, right? Obviously, Kyle Larson is a special guy. But to your point, Hendrick's cars were fast when they were replacing those drivers.
Yeah. They've got some work to do, but I do think the driver pool there, if they can have fast cars, they can succeed.
Yeah, and you just take yesterday as an example. Like, the 10 is in position to win the race late. The 41 and 14 ran well all day long. Kevin was good, so when you give these guys what they need, they can perform, but they're not getting what they need.
If they can get a spark at some point, or show some speed early in the year next year and get some good runs, that could boost that place. It can give
absolutely.
And
that's what I hope happens.
Next one is from Mark, and for you, Jeff. Is there a concern about writing articles that might be critical of an organization and it having an effect on what your sources within that organization give you for early information? How do you balance that out?
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance, especially in NASCAR, where I think there's a lot more sensitivity. It's not like the New York Yankees beat where, New York sports writers just like go to town on their Philly writers or something, right? Like you're just like, yeah, this guy sucks or something, right? Like, and they're just like, yeah, of course. In NASCAR, we've seen other media members in the past come in, and if you're too heavy-handed, you're just not going to get anywhere. It's just part of the game because people aren't going to work with you. They're not going to give you interviews. It's just they can cut you out so easy. So you have to strike the balance. I think you also don't want to be too much the other way where you're just like, everything's awesome. Oh, this guy's awesome. He's doing great. And you never criticize anybody because it's not going to come off as respectable or authentic. So you have to strike a balance. My goal personally would be like if I'm going to critique somebody, obviously not everybody's like this, but it would be in an ideal world they look at it and they go, all right, that's fair. I mean, I did that, or yeah, I'm not living up to my performance. And a lot of guys too, like if you're going to point something out, they already most of these drivers are their own worst critics, and they hold themselves to a higher standard than you're going to. Like if you were going to say something about Chase Elliott this year, we're going to be like, yeah, Chase Elliott failed this year because he didn't win, he didn't make the playoffs, he's not performing how he should. He'd be like, yeah. And he would go farther than you would, right? So I think, you try to strike that balance. You don't try to get personal with stuff, but otherwise you're not going to last long in the industry because your readers and your listeners are going to be like, all right, this guy's just blowing smoke. He's not really giving me the real thoughts here, so what's the point,
Who was the last person you pissed off?
Oh, boy, it can't be that long ago. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I can't.
Was it you that there was a point where Kevin Harvick wouldn't even speak to you? Was that you or was that somebody else?
No, there was a few years there where, yeah.
Years?
Yeah. I mean, you'll go through that at times because I think I printed what Harvick said to me after a race. Like he cursed at me and I just put it on Twitter or something. I was like, here's Harvick's comment after the race. And like that really didn't go over well at all. I mean, that's what he said, but like they didn't like that was on there, That was probably about 10 years ago, though.
Are y'all buddies now?
I wouldn't say we're buddies, but he's gotten a lot better. Like he's in his later years, he's been a really
valuable. Does he forgive you now, you think?
He's great. I mean, he agreed to do 12 questions with me this year. So, I mean, like he was, I've had people say, no, they're not going to do it before. So.
Who?
Well, let's see. One year. Well, I haven't gotten Ty Gibbs yet on my 12 questions ever. So there's one.
We asked him to be on the show, actually, and I don't think
He came on one time.
No, but
we asked him
recently,
again.
You told me to ask him.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I would like to do 12 questions with Ty Gibbs if he'd ever like to do one.
Oh.
But I don't think he wants to right now. But
it's interesting.
Moving on to what an idiot, and I have a feeling this could be a long one. Freddie.
Mine's Eddie Gossage. I don't know where that came from this morning. It seems like there's some axe to grind there. I don't know if Denny didn't show up for an appearance someday or something. But I don't. As far as I know, I see Denny putting in tons of work. I feel like he's fairly intelligent to be a 51-time winner, now team owner, very successful man, and. It seemed really out of bounds. Like, I don't know. It just was I think an awful look. And I had my one idiot. Like I changed it 12 times this week. It was Petrie and then RC there for a little while. Then Brett took over the lead. I thought nobody was going to catch Brett. And then this tweet comes out and you're like, what the is this guy talking about? Like, I don't get
Usually winning what an idiot's good for you.
Yeah.
And this one is actually bad.
Yeah, like,
it's a bad look.
It's just awful. Like, especially you were the president of Texas Motor Speedway, who when they I don't know how much he had to do with the reconfiguration, but it's probably one of the worst reconfigurations we've ever had. So I don't know, maybe he should go to more basketball games or something, play the golf guys tour.
I think I would interpret it as like, first of all, I don't think it's a good look at all, but I think that the Denny that Eddie Gossage probably dealt with in the prime of his career is completely different Denny now. I mean. I think, probably it was hard to get Denny to do stuff back in the day, and probably maybe Eddie holds a grudge for that or something, right? But, like, Denny has evolved into this extremely valuable voice in the sport who is balancing all this different stuff and has been winning and doing well while juggling all this. And I don't think him being a basketball fan or something has any,
If anything, it probably helps him keep his sanity. You know, he gets to go to a game and enjoy a game a little bit and take his mind off some things.
I'd rather him go to a basketball game than go skiing down a mountain. Seems a little safer.
There's way worse things that kid could be doing.
Who's your one idiot, TJ? I can't wait to hear this.
Man, there's so many to pick
I
from
don't
this
know.
weekend. Like, it could be I don't know how it's still not you. I mean, when you wake your kids up laughing, or
it happens.
I don't know how that doesn't win it for the year. Honestly, there's a lot. I mean, everyone Freddie mentioned there with between all the guys in Xfinity deal. I would throw Joey in there because just turning the 54 for P2 right there almost wrecking Denny too. I mean, there was no need to go down there and wreck him.
He went bowling in turn 1.
What was that, by the way?
Turn 3.
So, turn 3. The 54 just squeezed down in front of him.
He was
got
clear,
mad.
and he didn't want him there. I mean, it's what everybody does. As soon as the guy gets clear and you want the bottom, you take it, and that's just how the line works. Like, you let him get clear. I mean, if you get a better exit, he doesn't get clear, right? So he got clear, didn't do anything that none of us would have done, and he just shipped him. Like,
yeah, no chance.
And he almost took out a championship contender early in the race.
Yeah.
I mean, in the process. So.
Yes,
A
and
teammate.
I just don't think that move was worth it. Like, at that point, like, there was why? Like, what's the point of that? Now, next week, he's probably got to be watching out a little bit. You know, maybe Ryan loses one of his blockers next week because the 54 probably doesn't appreciate getting DNF'd there. You know, so.
All right. Oh,
Well,
Brett,
my
Jeff.
what an idiot is Brett Griffin. I thought that. First of all, I thought I was gonna have this handed to me because he texted me last week and he said, "Hey, are you coming to Martinsville?" And I thought, I'm supposed to be on your show after Martinsville. What do you mean, am I coming to Martinsville? But then it was his way of asking me if I was confirming for the show. So then I thought, damn it, I lost my chance to make him my idiot. That would have been so easy.
Oh, he redeemed
You
himself.
still
And then I just scroll in my timeline and it just falls into my lap. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Did he really do this?
Live
look.
I'm just really glad I looked at my phone again and had a text from you to save me from myself. So thank you for that.
Oh, God, I've been laughing about this for years. Sorry. I know it's, God, I'm probably going to get so much blowback for thinking this was funny, but I'm sorry.
It's only funny. It was only like I was like, oh, Brett, what an idiot. And then when Brett said, "What? He's dead?" How the do you not know this?
I just hit my head on the microphone too, so I might be eligible now.
What did you call anybody?
Mine was Eddie Gossage, and I truly don't have anybody any higher than that. And I literally was sitting there. I was like, all right, I'm a sports fan. I cheer for my team, which is the Gamecocks, like an absolute 16-year-old high school girl, right? Like, I go nuts over the Gamecocks. And I also cheer against my enemy, and when they fail, like Clemson, I love to see them suck. Like, it's my second favorite thing in sports behind seeing my Gamecocks do well. But I don't ever go attack Dabo personally. I don't ever go attack their play. Actually, I stood up for their quarterback a few weeks ago saying that he should not have been put in that position to where he had to take the brunt of the decision he made publicly an hour after he did it. So I just, man, what a bad look for Eddie. And this is coming from me. Like, that's bad. That's even worse.
The guy's got plenty of experience sending dumb tweets. Said that was a dumb tweet.
Yeah. Congratulations.
moving on to DVC picks. Congratulations, Brett. You won Martinsville.
I know I've been on fire, and I won, I think, 3 in the first 9 races in this playoff.
It don't matter.
And I was looking at the numbers, and literally none of us can improve our position. TJ's going to win. I'm going to finish second. Casey, congratulations on not finishing last, first time ever.
Buy dinner.
And Freddie, dude, you suck.
And I'd actually, so Tyler Reddick, he's very interested in once again attending our dinner, but this time he said that we should maybe step it up and go to State 48, and I think.
He better get a limo because that's a long way from
Yeah, I was going to say, that's too
buying.
far.
No, I think maybe pay for the limo, too.
We drink.
Do I get a dinner invite? All right, I'm
You
the
are
commissioner.
invited. You are.
I'm the commissioner. You don't
He's
invite
not
the
invited.
commissioner.
Did Jason
Jason
go with
was
us?
invited
Yeah,
last
Jason
year.
went, I guess. You can come.
All right, we got to hurry because I got to go.
Yeah. DVC
well, my
picks
pick, I'm taking Kevin Harvick.
I think we should just pick who he thinks going to win the race because it doesn't matter about DVC picks. Pick who you think's going to win the race. It doesn't matter if you picked him before or not.
All right, who I think's going to win the race? I am going to go with Ryan Blaney.
Solid. Who goes next?
Casey.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Just pick.
I mean, you can't pick Ryan Blaney now.
Well,
No, you can pick Ryan
Oh,
Blaney.
all right, you can pick Ryan Blaney.
I'll take Christopher Bell.
Knew it.
Homer.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming.
Actually, I was going to pick somebody else for DVC
Okay.
picks. I
Right.
was going to pick Larson.
Jesse
but-
Love.
Who you got, Freddie?
I'll take Larson.
I was going to take Larson too, but just to be different, I'll take Byron. Byron's been on fire. 6 wins, crazy fast. They've not been crazy fast as of late, though, Jeff. Like I think you guys even talked about it on Teardown. Who you got? Who's going to win the race?
I'm going with Blaney, hot hand. They just got the short track package right, and he's gone second, fourth in his last 4 races at Phoenix. So I think
Tough to beat
he's going
them
to follow
numbers.
the Logano plan last year.
That's a solid pick.
All right. Well, what else can we expect in Phoenix? I know we have to run.
I mean,
Any drama?
Championship weekend.
I'm sure there'll be a little bit of drama.
Yeah, a little
Will it-
bit.
will
Are
it
you glad
really-
the season's over?
Yes and no. We've had quite a bit of speed almost every week now at all the different types of tracks. So you kind of hate to not go to the track this week and be in the top 5 or 10. But also, I know what an off season has done for the place, and I'm looking forward to another one and to see where we can start next year.
Gluck, you ready? You glad?
I'm not, because I think I was sort of last year we just had these crazy moments all year, and I think that I kept waiting for those to happen sort of throughout the summer and especially in the playoffs. Like, all right, here, when's this crazy moment come? It's going to get everybody talking and talk radio and just blow up all the podcasts. And I don't really feel like we ever sort of got that. So I'm just sort of like, oh, that's it? Like it's just ending? Oh, okay. So I guess I'm not really in that mode yet. Like I feel like we haven't gotten the
Well,
resolution
maybe it'll be
of the
next
story.
year.
Maybe.
Freddie, you glad it's over?
I'm looking forward to this race because we have a battle on our hands for 9th in points, which we've had a really good playoff. We've jumped from 16th to 9th, actually past Truex in points when he got knocked out this week. So I'm looking forward to this race. We got a battle. We're tied with Ross. We're a couple of points ahead of Joey. Truex isn't far behind, so it's going to be a battle. But hang our hat on another top 10 in points would be nice. After we owner point last year, we finished 10th. Yes, I shouldn't say I'm ready for it to be over because I'm just going to go racing for 3 weeks after that, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going on vacation later. TJ, have fun.
Gluck, you get one word. 2025. You get to pick the championship race. What track you picking?
Homestead.
There you have it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening as always, and we look forward to seeing me and Brett will be. Everybody's asking me where Brett was this week, and I promise you he was not at the racetrack. So
I was at the baseball field.
Hopefully you'll be. Are you coming to the racetrack next week?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll see Brett. He'll. Everybody asks where to meet us. Hang out or on the elevator. That's where the best chance you'll see us because we have to take the elevator to the roof. So if you find an elevator that the spotters are going up, that's about an hour before the race is where you'll find
Which
the
I
spotters.
think is the sweet elevator as well. So you'll see me there too.
There you go, Casey.
Jeff, we appreciate you coming on. You stayed. You stuck around here instead of flying back to Denver this morning. You're a busy guy. You're one of our favorite guys to come on. We appreciate all you do for the sport. You're one of the bigger mouthpieces in the social media space, and we appreciate, as you've given us credit for in the past, we appreciate your honesty on everything you do.
I appreciate it. This was fun. I look forward to this every year. Hopefully I haven't screwed it up enough to ruin my invite for next year. But I think this is like time number 4 on here.
Yeah.
Already. So, no, this is, I love doing this. So thank you guys for letting me come back. That was really cool of you.
Good luck in your presidential race.
Thank you. Yeah. I will need a running mate, just not Brett. So.
Casey, you're not here next week. So thanks for, what do you thank Casey for?
Just doing her phenomenal, stupendous,
Really?
awesome, marvelous job all year long.
Thank her for still being here after all the she gets from you guys.
It has been a few years.
Sorry, I made Andrew.
Casey, are you coming back next year if we still got a show?
Am I invited?
I just asked you a question. You can't answer
If
a
I'm
question with a
invited.
question.
Wait, what was
Were
the
you ever
question? I
invited?
was typing down Jeff's.
I mean, last I
curse.
heard in Vegas, you told me that you were the one that actually found me and invited me. So I'd like to think, yes, if I am allowed back. Absolutely.
Well, we love you, and we
And
hope
we
you
should
have a
do
great
a-
off season. Are you glad the season's over?
A little bit. But I have the banquet that I work, so.
Well, that should go well. Nashville again, right?
Yes. And I forgot what I was going to say, but Christmas show, whoever tweeted me.
Yeah, we'll
Andrew's the
plan
boss.
on having it.
I confirmed Reddick is in. He said he might start celebrating again. So
He better
hopefully
celebrate
doesn't,
something.
Hopefully he doesn't show up with another candy cane full of Fireball. But we got to pick a date because I'm gone like half of December. So
All right, we'll pick one of those days.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank y'all for listening. Have a great week.
Boy.
We out. Holla.